Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today is the 6th of July, 2020. My name is Carey Holzman, and thank you guys so much for already being in the chat room, even before we started. And in fact, a generous contribution before we started. That's from Abdul Azim Patel, who has contributed $50 and says, "This is my second $50 donation. The first time was around the end of March or early April." Abdul, thank you so much for your continued generosity and support of the show and for hanging out with me in these live broadcasts. Today I've got kind of a different video to do. Well, it's not that different, but well, first of all, I found out who sent me. I got another can of WD-40 today in the mail. I wasn't sure if this was a practical joke. Like, was this supposed to help remove the stick that's up my butt? No, apparently it was sincere. So this is a specialist penetrant, which is kind of what I considered myself. But it has a flexible nozzle on it, so you can spray it in hard to reach places. Anyway, I thought it was kind of a weird, kind of an unusual thing to send to a computer guy. You know, it's not like you see me struggling, do you? Getting screws and stuff out. But anyway, there's a little note. And the note says, "You are the best PC channel on YouTube. More than anything else, it's because of your honest and moral approach to business. I thought these would help with stubborn side hinges." And that's from John Panarelli. Well, thank you, John. Thank you so much. Look, it's WD-40. It's going to get used. I just wasn't expecting that, but thank you. I think I've got enough here to last about 3 years. I don't use it very often, but it's kind of neat because I didn't know this one here. Sorry, I didn't even mention this one. This one is not just regular WD, it's a gel lube. So I'm not quite sure where the appropriate usage of this is compared to regular WD-40. But I appreciate that thoughtfulness very, very much. Of course, your support of the channel. So thank you guys for being a part of the community and for not just being passively watching, but actively participating. That means a lot to me. Yeah, you know what that sound is. It means it's time for the video to get started. So, what I've decided to do, and I've mentioned this on other previous broadcasts, was I'm not getting a lot of love in return from Scythe, which isn't required. You know, Scythe never asked me to do anything for them. I just was hoping that if they saw the value in what I was doing, that they'd want to work with me, and maybe someday they will. But in the meantime, I might be blinding myself to other good cooling solutions, and by good I mean quiet, easy to install, and competitively priced. So what I decided to do is look for coolers that I've never heard of or seen before. You have to understand, when you're watching YouTube or you're reading many review articles online, in the very least case, the products are provided rather, by the manufacturer in exchange for a review. And in other more extreme cases, like the big, popular tech channels here on YouTube, they make a lot of money basically making a commercial for the product disguised as a review. Now, I've seen some of the other tech channels will say sponsored by, but I don't know that sponsoring is really the right word for that. You know, a sponsor, in my opinion, is somebody who is providing an investment to promote and support what it is you do. Now, if the person or the company that's doing that is doing it for a single video, not for all your videos, but for one video, which just so happens to be about their product, that's not a sponsorship in my definition of the terms. That's a paid-for commercial. So watch for that when you're watching YouTube videos. Watch and see who's sponsoring. You know, RoboForm is the only sponsor I've got here, and they sponsor every video. They don't just sponsor videos about RoboForm. So You know, when you guys are skipping past the ads that play before the videos, on those videos, you're skipping past the ad to watch one big ad. And I don't know how you can trust it. I mean, it might be interesting, but how is that information in any way, shape, or form something that you can rely on? So, you know, you can't blame the content creator for cashing a check, and you can't blame the manufacturer for spending the money to get that audience that is clearly the audience they're after. You know, a regular commercial on TV or radio, you don't know who you're talking to, but when you're paying for a YouTube content creator, you know all your viewers are potentially interested in your product. So that's a highly, highly targeted audience. Now, that being said, there are other manufacturers out there of computer parts that are not huge corporations and don't have huge marketing budgets, and therefore it's pretty rare to see a video or a review on their product. You know, I firmly believe one of the reasons that Noctua is so highly regarded is the power of marketing. No other demonstration in modern day marketing is better than Red Bull. Have you guys had a Red Bull? The drink, the soft drink, Red Bull? It's an energy drink. It has got to be one of the most god-awful things I've ever tasted in my life. But they have aligned themselves with extreme sports, and they sponsor everything all the time with regards to extreme sports. So you can't see anything sort of extreme sports without seeing some Red Bull logo or banner and product available. And so the quality of the product and the taste of the product becomes secondary to the marketing of the product. And I mention this because running a computer business is the same way. When you want to run a computer business, the primary function that you're going to have is running the business, not doing the computer work. The computer work is second. That's the second most important part of the job, is doing the work. The first single most important thing that will probably take up at least 50% or more of your time is the actual running of the business. That means the marketing, paying the bills, ordering the parts, dealing with customer service, whatever it takes to acquire the work, to go get the work. And in much the same way with Red Bull and their marketing, the marketing's out there. That's first and foremost. I can't even imagine what their marketing budget must be. And then that enables you to basically buy your customers. And then once you've bought them, and more times than not, you don't have to buy them again. They'll stay with you. As long as you're aligned with these cool, hip things, people want to be a part of that. They want to be included. They want to feel like they're part of what's going on. So I want you to be aware when you're watching some of the videos, or you have a particular high regard for a brand, and the one that comes to mind is Noctua. And it's not that Noctua is a bad brand. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but they are, in my opinion, overpriced, just like a Red Bull drink. All that marketing costs money. That little can of Red Bull should be 50 cents. The reason it's over $3 is that marketing budget. So you're paying for that marketing. And there are other coolers that will run as well as or better than the Noctua, that will install easier and will sell for less money. But we have to go and look for them. There's also a lot of junk coolers out there too. There's some manufacturers who aren't following the rules, and they're usually very inexpensive, and they're from name brands you never heard of before. So I decided that I wanted to do something different. As much as I like the Mugen 5, and nothing I don't like about the Mugen 5, I just wish Scythe would get on board and support this channel. And if and when they do that, we'll come back to Scythe. But in the meantime, I can't help but wonder what other opportunities from other smaller manufacturers I might be missing, and that you might be missing too, because the big content creators here on YouTube aren't going to get paid to make it, so they ain't making it. So to give you an example, right behind me, I've got a bunch of coolers. I just did a little shopping on Amazon. Using some of the money, we're using the money that you guys have contributed to the channel, here's where some of it is gone. Coolers. Lots of different coolers. This one, and if you guys know of these coolers, if you heard anything about them, please let me know in the chat room. This is from Alzey, and that looked like an interesting, weird kind of a cooler. It's the H120D. It looks like it'll do a good job. I don't know. These are the specs. And looks pretty nice. And I can't tell you what the price was on this because I can't remember, but these were all very inexpensive when you're comparing it to a company that's, spending a lot of money on marketing. There's almost no marketing money spent here, so these products are far cheaper. Now, when it comes to like little Core i5s and Core i3s, you don't really need a third-party cooler, but why should you feel left out? So Thermaltake and this company, Cooler Master, both make these smaller coolers, which are probably, I don't know because I haven't used them yet, but I'm going to guess a nice replacement for the stock cooler that comes with your CPU. Now, they do claim that they are compatible with i7 and Ryzen 7. I'm afraid they might be a little loud, but I don't know until I try them. But I've never seen these before. There's the i71C, which this is strictly for Intel. And the good thing about that means there's no installation process that's complicated because the cooler's trying to fit a bunch of sockets. This has already got the posts in there and should be one of the easiest cooler installs you'll ever do on an Intel platform. There's a little diagram on the side. Super, super easy to install, and it's RGB incompatible with MSI's RGB. And then this one from Thermaltake, this is the UX100. You'll see it's compatible with Aura Sync over here, Aura Sync. And again, this will support Intel Socket 11.5X and AMD's AM4. But don't expect to get amazing cooling out of these. Okay, these are just mostly something to have a little bling on your machine. That's a slight improvement over the stock cooler, generally speaking, or so they claim, or so the reviews claim. Now over here I have another Alzey. This one I thought was really weird looking, so I had to have it. It's got 3 fans, but you'll see the box isn't really that thick. It's not like a big Noctua cooler. This thing has 3 full fans on it. This is the DR90, and again, this is from Alzey, and you'll see it's a relatively small box for something that has 3 fans. Be interested to see how that works and if it's loud. Over here, I've got the ID Cooling. Who's ID Cooling? I've never heard of. You heard of them? And there's this unit here, the SE234A RGB. And they don't really give you a lot of information on the box at all. This is a little disappointing in how it's marketed. Remember, we talk about marketing dollars. Making these custom boxes with the pictures, this costs money. A black box is a lot cheaper. Remember, you're paying for all of this. All this stuff that you're going to put into your garbage can, you're paying for that. So what's in here? Well, this is from a company called upHere. And upHere makes a cooler that I just thought was really neat looking, and it's the cooler I want to put in my birthday build, or my pre-birthday build. Let me show you what it looks like. It kind of looks like a big tire. It's got this grill on top, and it's got a fan on each side, and the fans light up in red or blue, I believe. Of course, you've got the little protective tape on the bottom, and you've got your power cable for one fan, and your power cable for the other fan. And as far as controlling the RGB, I don't know, is it controllable or does it just stay one color? They've given us a fan splitter in case your motherboard only has one fan header. There's your bracket for installation. There's thermal compound and screws. And more screws. So apparently it's not ARGB, just RGB, which is fine if it glows red and it's black. I'm really curious how that's going to look in the Phanteks case. But I'm not done yet. No, I'm not done yet. I have to have both hands to show you the next two. Now remember, these aren't installs I'm going to be doing today, but these are going back on my inventory shelf, and I will periodically and randomly pull them out on future builds as I deem appropriate. This is the Corsair A500, and it's a pretty big cooler, as you can see. And last but not least, the biggest box of them all. This is the Cooler Master Air Maker 8. And that looks like a beast if I've ever seen one. So again, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to use these or when. But it's more content you've got to look forward to in the months ahead. This will obviously take me many months to get through these. What do you think? Which one's your favorite? A couple of contributions have come in. Let me give a couple of shouts out here to these folks. OG Gaming contributed $10. Darren Gilholm has contributed £1. Rakshit Patel with $2.99. Mike Dale with $3.69 Canadian. Colin G, formerly Cogjin, has contributed £10, and he says this is to wish you happy birthday for next year. Well, that's optimistic. Thank you. Kevin Arsenault joins us from Canada, contributes 20 Canadian dollars and says, you do what you do and we will do our part too. Well, all your part is to hopefully enjoy, watch, and be nice to each other. Be kind to one another in the chat room. You can go be a jerk to people somewhere else, but here, please be nice to each other. Not that you're not. Not that you are. Just keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. Marco says that thing looks like it could cool down a nuclear power plant. We might give that a try. I have connections to the nuclear power plant. I don't think they'll let me in though, but I do have connections. Benjamin Hale says, Gamers Nexus did a review on the Corsair One and found it to be really bad for its price and size. Yeah, so those last two coolers, the Corsair and the Cooler Master, those are big companies with big marketing budgets. Those are not what these are. These are sort of unknown. So I fully expect that you'll find reviews on the Corsair and the Cooler Master coolers here on YouTube, but try and find this one. Can anybody find this reviewed? Can anybody find the what did I say this was? This is the upHere cooler, and the model is in the title of this video. I don't recall seeing any review for this. It looks like it's got the clips on the side ready for AMD, so that would be super easy. Maybe I should save this for an AMD build, because that would be like super easy to put on an AMD processor. You just push one clip down, the other clip down, and you're done. No screws needed. But I'd really like it in the Phanteks case, and I'd really like to get that up and running today. So I'd like to get the cooler changed out. There's nothing wrong with the Be Quiet cooler that's in there, except that it's silver. I went ahead and I ordered some black, and I want you to keep this in mind. I could have reached out to my contact at Be Quiet. I could have said, hey, email, can you mail me some black Dark Rock 2 coolers, or Pure Rock, whatever they're called. And he would have said, sure, they're on their way. But I don't want to take advantage, number one. Number two, I want to show email that I do like the product enough that I'm buying it. I'm not just using it because you sent it to me. I like it. I think it's a big improvement over the previous Be Quiet cooler that I reviewed. And I'm going to keep a couple in inventory for customers. Like, for example, the repair I did where Doug wanted a darker cooler. He didn't want the silver cooler. More and more people are really hitting me up with aesthetic concerns. And so to have these in inventory, I can offer them. We don't have to wait for shipping. We'll just use them if need be. And if customers don't require them, then I'll just use them in future builds or whatever. So I also ordered a couple of Hyper 212 Evos in black, as well as the Hyper 212 Evo RGB in black. So I'm sitting pretty good on coolers. I still have a couple of Scythe Mugen 5s, but I'm not going to replace those because normally I have about a half dozen of those in stock at any given time. Their inventory is up and down. One day they're available at Amazon, the next day they're sold out. Then they're sold out for a week and then they're back again. And some jerk face is selling them for $138 on Amazon when it's a $48 cooler. You know, I understand you want to throw 10 bucks on it. You know, you want to make 10 bucks, sell it for $58 instead of 48. That's reasonable. But to try and gouge people like that, well, I'm a big believer in karma. And when they get gouged for something they want, they'll know why it happened. But in the meantime, it's not Scythe's fault. Scythe has no control over people reselling their product at ridiculous prices. But my advice to you is if you do want one of those Mugen 5s, be patient. Watch Amazon every day. Watch it every single day. Because when it goes into inventory, there's a certain number they have. Once those numbers are sold out, then you have to wait for the next batch to come in. And I think it's a problem. I haven't talked with Scythe. I don't know what the problem is, but I think it's a problem with distribution. I think they're fully manufacturing them. They're just having a hard time finding space on transport to get them over to the US. That's what I suspect is happening. So they're getting batches in, and in between shipments, probably a couple of weeks between shipments, and the batches are relatively small because the ships are fully loaded. That's my theory. Could be completely wrong, but that's my theory. In the meantime, these were all widely and easily available, accessible, and I'm going to set them all back here so we have some room to work. Let's see, where can I put these? I guess I'll put these two over here. And I'm going to move these big, like this Master Air Maker, I'm going to move that to my back office because I need to clear a little more room off that counter so I can bring the Phanteks build up there. And, for some people, it really doesn't matter how well the CPU cooler cools, but how cool it looks. So, maybe Gamers Nexus said they didn't think the cooler was good for the money. Someone else might look at it and go, I don't care what it cost, look how beautiful it is. So remember, there's more than one side to how we determine value. Now, the way I determine value is based off of a business model, which is this going to take me forever to install? Because I make money based on how much work I can get done in a day. Is it loud? Is my customer going to complain about noise? Is it reliable? Does it do a good job cooling? So I have a number of variables that all have to be met for me to judge something as whether or not I want to stand behind it and support it and put my reputation on the line, because if it's not good, then I'm not good as far as the customer is concerned. Understand the customer's perspective here. They bought it from me. They're trusting me in my judgment. If I have poor judgment, well, they're going to think I have poor judgment on everything. Why wouldn't they? Now, if a customer said, hey, I wouldn't mind being a guinea pig to try that cooler because it looks really attractive, I'll do it, no problem. But I wouldn't just mislead the customer and let them think that, hey, this is the best thing ever, because I just don't know. And they would be part of the they would have to be well informed that I will take care of you. If it turns out to be a bad thing, we'll replace it. Just don't be mad at me with the downtime if it happens. On the other hand, if it works great, and you're happy with it, then I'll start recommending it to other customers. But somebody's got to go first. And for the most part, I make myself go first, right? I'm the guinea pig, and I will set up my friends who are willing with some hardware so that they can try it. And they can, give me feedback on how things are working over time. And remember, they're just using their computer. They're not trying to run benchmarks and test the cooler. They just want to use the computer. And that's ultimately the only test I'm interested in. I really don't care if they want to try and set out to push the cooler hard and try and create a situation where the cooler struggles. That's not why I would submit it to them. I would submit it to them just to say, hey, use this as you would normally use it, and let me know if you have any problems or questions or concerns. Does it seem like it's running hot? Does it seem too loud? Are the LED lights too bright? Anything like that. Bear Paws contributed £2. He says, those coolers are looking awesome. And Sinister0021 contributes $2 and says, that cooler is as big as my Dodge alternator. Yeah, check out that action, right? Amazon has the i9-9900K back in stock for $484, which isn't bad. I want to say the retail price on it when I bought them was $479, but for a long time the 9900Ks were over $500. So I went ahead and I ordered 2 more of those today because I'm curious to see if they get rid of the stupid blue octagon packaging. I want to see how they're shipping them. And then that'll go in inventory for some future builds for which I have coolers. And I have a couple of computer cases, though. These are just what I call fun builds. These are builds that I'm doing for the enjoyment of building. There are no customers requesting these builds. If you see one and you would like to buy it from me and you are within the United States, they are all available for sale. I'm not looking to profit off of them. I just need to make the money back that I've invested. I'm doing it to make a video. Once the video is made, I don't need the computer anymore, but it would be nice for somebody to have it that would report back to me from time to time, either when something happens or if nothing happens, maybe once or twice a year to just say, hey, I still got it. It's still running great. And I can let the audience know we follow up, because these reviews that people do when they have a product for just a couple of days, to me, that's not adequate information to make a purchasing decision. I want to know what's it like to live with the product day after day, week after week, month after month, and even year after year. Now, granted, when you start going to year after year, the product probably isn't made anymore. However, it should give you an indication of the quality of the components that the manufacturer may be reasonable to expect from their other products. Maybe. At least it's something. Like, for example, this upHere cooler, I've never heard of upHere. Do they make good products? I don't know. If this turns out to be a great cooler, you better believe I'm going to start looking at some of their other coolers, with the assumption that if they did that one that well, perhaps the other ones are just as good or even better. The opposite is also true. If this is a terrible cooler, I will probably avoid this manufacturer with the assumption that they just make all their products with the same level of care or concern, positive or negative. But instead of being sort of brainwashed or led by the nose by infomercials paid for by YouTube content creators that are selling their audience to a manufacturer, well, that's interesting to learn about the bells, whistles, and features of the product. It's a great way to learn some things that may be not obvious with the features of the product or how it installs. What you're really not getting is what it's like to live with the product day to day. And that's the part I'm trying to fill in here on my YouTube channel. So together, between with what the regular big YouTube channels do and what I do, you should be able, you being the viewer, should be able to have a more complete picture of the product to know exactly what to expect when you open your wallet so that you're not going to be disappointed. That's my goal. I'm just trying to fill that gap. And it's a pretty big gap here on YouTube because it seems to me most of those tech channels are bought and paid for. This one is bought and paid for by the viewers. So if I screw my viewers over, if I manipulate you or use you, I'll pretty much could lose my channel. I don't have a sponsor that's going to take care of me. Nothing, not a big sponsor like that. So I appreciate that you guys help make this possible. And for the rest of you who don't know, that's how this works. It is a pretty common belief that if you want to start a YouTube channel, you need to get a sponsor. At some point, if you want to do big builds, big expensive builds, you find yourself a sponsor, they provide you the parts. In exchange, you make the video, but then you have to submit the video to them for their approval in most cases. They'll tell you any changes they want made, you will make them, and you will publish the video. They'll write you a check, and you'll say, hey, it's pretty good business. I'm trying to say, or I'm trying to do rather, the opposite. Let's let the viewers finance the channel. And let's let the popularity of each video dictate or determine the direction of the channel. If everybody's liking computer builds, then I'll do more computer builds. If everybody's liking me testing coolers, I'll do coolers. What this channel started out as was me just showing you how to do work as a real working computer technician. As I've mentioned, you don't really get paid, not in corporate America, to do liquid cooler installs or RGB or delidding or overclocking. None of that happens in the real world of work. And it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that if you don't know any better, if you're 15 years old or maybe you're just naive and you're watching over and over and over more and more videos, they're all covering the same thing over and over and over again. Overclocking, delidding, RGB, all-in-one coolers versus, custom open loops, blah, 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 blah. You might think, I want to do this for a living. That's a lot of fun. Good luck finding a job where you can do that. There are jobs where you can do that, but they're very far and few between. Being a computer technician for desktop support in a company that has 5,000 employees or more, that's not really demonstrated here on YouTube at all. There's politics, there's drama, there's policies, there's protocols, and there's procedures. And if all of that isn't aligned, you're gone, you're out. So, again, and I want to emphasize, it's not that I'm saying I'm better. I'm just trying to say that I'm different, and I'm different because I feel like it's needed. I feel like this content of what it's really like to be a computer tech is desperately missing from YouTube. You can search for it and find it, Tim's Computer Repair. Tim shows actual repairs. He's a real working computer technician. He knows what he's talking about. He's held accountable and responsible for his work. He's not really doing product reviews. He's not really taking on sponsor. He's just doing this one thing. Here's me fixing a laptop. Here's me, and that's great. I think YouTube needs more of that, because if you're watching that and you're saying, that looks like a lot of fun, I'd like to do it for a living, that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to show you a realistic view of the work, and it's a lot of fun. It's very, I enjoy it. I like what I do. There are days, as there will be with any job, where you're not going to like it, where you're going to get frustrated. And if you work too much, you get burned out, and it's the last thing you want to see is another computer. They did tell me when a very long time ago, I got a job at Domino's Pizza. And I'm saying this because I know there's a few of you out there that are like, I would never get bored of seeing computers. When I got this job at Domino's Pizza, I think they asked me how I feel about pizza. I love pizza. And they're like, well, after you work here for a while, you're not going to want pizza. Well, I'm here to tell you that I don't know how long I had that job, but it was probably about a year, and my love for pizza never waned. They were wrong. Oh no, you're going to get sick of pizza. Nope, didn't happen. So when I tell you you're going to get sick of the, you may have days where you're like, oh, I just don't want to see a computer. If you have that much passion, maybe you won't ever get sick of it, right? Because it did happen to me with pizza. I was like, nope. Well, you've been here like 6 months. Aren't you sick of this pizza? Nope. You're going to eat that? It's a true story. So here's the original deal. Let me tell you what was going on in my brain. This is the Pure Rock 2 in black. So this is the black edition of the cooler that email sent me from Be Quiet. That's in this build here. So this is the Z390M gaming motherboard from Gigabyte, and we still have the brand new RTX 2080 Ti sealed in the box. I haven't even cut the tape on it. It's brand new. And my original thought, I'll tell you what happened. I was on Amazon. Well, first of all, I'm sitting at my computer. And I'm like, should I just email and say, hey, could you send me the same cooler in black? And I thought, email's a good guy. The reason he sent me the cooler was for reviewing it. He didn't send it to me so I could, make my own computer out of it. I mean, I got to do something with the coolers he sends, but regardless, that wasn't the point of sending me the cooler. As far as email is concerned, once you've reviewed the cooler, you could send it back or whatever. Not that they requested that, but the point of it was just to make a review. So I've installed, as you can see here, the Pure Rock 2, but it's silver. And this case is very black in here. And so I've got two silver components. This power supply, which has no fan on it from Silverstone, is silver, obviously. And then the Be Quiet cooler, which I'm actually quite impressed with it, but I don't like the way it looks. This is a $4,300 computer. And when you're dealing with a certain dollar amount, at least this is the way my brain works, things like color matching start to become more important. If I'm trying to build you an $800 computer, it's probably not going to have a case window. And as long as it looks neat and clean, like this looks neat and clean in here, it's good enough. Who cares? But at some point, and I don't know where it is, but at some point when there's a certain dollar value reached, or maybe even just a certain kind of case, like I feel like this case is so beautiful and unique, it deserves to have attention paid to the color and the matching of the components inside. And so for that reason and that reason alone, I'm going to pull the Be Quiet cooler out, and I was going to replace it with the same cooler in black. That's all this is. It's the same exact cooler, it's just black. That's all. And that would solve my problem. I'd be happy. We've already Prime 95 tested this cooler. It's working fantastic. It's quiet. It was easy to install. It was a big improvement over the original Pure Rock cooler, in my opinion. The price is decent on it. It's not it's definitely not Noctua prices, but it's not Scythe prices either. Scythe is sort of at the cheaper end. Noctua is on the super high end. And sort of in the middle, you've got Be Quiet. So I'm on Amazon and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll just pay for it. I'll just pay for the cooler. It's not that much money. I don't want to take advantage of email and my relationship with him. We'll keep it, just for reviews. Then I thought, I do like it. Maybe I'll order a couple of extras. So, all right, so I do that. So when you're on Amazon and you're looking, there's products down below the main product you're looking at that says, oh, if you like this, you might be interested in these. And so that's how that happened. Long story short, I've got about 12 coolers now. I said, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks interesting. Well, let's add that one. Let's grab that one too. Well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do it all. So from when I sat down to do something specific, I ended up sitting there a much longer period of time and ended up doing a lot more than I anticipated doing. But now I have video content to make for the next 3 months just on coolers. So if I ever wake up one morning and go, I have no idea what to make a video on, all I got to do is look at my office. And by the way, there's no shortage of what I've got to make a video on. Oh, look at this. Our friends over at Tech Deals have joined us in the chat room. Hello, Tech Deals. Let's make sure there are moderators in here. Tech Deals says, personally, my main gripe with Be Quiet coolers are the mounts. The Dark Rock Pro 4 was a pain to put into the Pure Base 500K due to the mount and the clearance. It does cool very well. Have you tried the Dark Rock? Here's the thing. Since I got you, so by the way, so Rogan Tech over at Tech Deals, they have a fantastic YouTube channel. If you've never seen them, check them out. Again, we talk about people being owned and bought by sponsorships. I like how, and I don't know if Tech heard me say this, but there was a show he did a couple of weeks ago, and he's being sponsored by Newegg. So I know he's not getting paid a lot of money. Anyway, he's being sponsored by Newegg. You know, I was the spokesperson for Newegg for a while. You do know that, right? I just have to puff up my chest a little bit. Yeah, it didn't pay very well. Anyway, it was an honor to do it, and I had a really good time. And they're good people over at Newegg. Love those people. That being said, on a Newegg sponsored video, Tech tells his audience, he goes, one of the things you got to watch at Newegg is make sure you're ordering from Newegg, because there could be a third-party seller and it's not very apparent. You have to pay close attention to make sure that you're ordering from Newegg and not from some company out in China. Amazon does a much better job. I'm adding this part. He didn't say this. Amazon does a much better job of saying, you know, see buying options. If Amazon doesn't have it, you have to click a button to see buying options. Newegg doesn't do that. Newegg throws the product up on the page as though they were selling it. And you have to look at the fine print up above the top right corner to see where it's coming from. And if it doesn't say shipped and sold by Newegg, well, you're basically buying from an eBay seller, which is what Tech said. And Tech is absolutely right. If you want to buy from eBay, why not just go to eBay? Why let Newegg be the man in the middle to take a little off the top so that you're paying more for the product? But Newegg has to take a little off the top, because anytime Newegg allows a third-party seller like that, then Newegg is the customer service if anything goes wrong, even though they're not the ones providing the product or the shipping or anything. But if it all goes sideways on you, they will, in theory, they will refund your money or make it right, whatever it takes to make it right. And that was an excellent point that Tech made, and he did it during a Newegg sponsored video. So my respect for that man went through the roof, because he wasn't saying anything harmful to Newegg. It wasn't like he was saying anything negative. He was just pointing out this is their business practice, and it may not be clear to you, because it wasn't clear to me, that you might end up ordering product that takes 4 to 6 weeks to arrive, that you honestly thought you were buying from Newegg, and it turns out you were buying from, you know, Fly Guy 23, who also, in most cases, those people also sell on eBay. And if you would just go to eBay, you could probably get a cheaper price. And Newegg also sells on eBay. Newegg often offers product at a cheaper price. Sometimes it's inventory they've got to get rid of, and they don't promote it or advertise it. When I worked over at Newegg for their spokesman, I said, you guys need to promote this. We need to make a video about how people can find deals and let them know you're on eBay, and they wouldn't do it. So I don't know the business marketing end of it, but if you're going to order from Newegg, which is a great and safe place to order from, on the left side of the page, you can check a box that says, only show me products sold and shipped by Newegg. If you do not check that box, a box, by the way, that should be checked by default as far as I'm concerned, you have to pay close attention before you check out. If you forgot everything I said and you've got your cart full of parts, just before you check out, look one more time and see who is selling you those parts. I know you're giving your money to Newegg. I know you shopped at Newegg, but those parts may not be coming from Newegg. So for tech deals, you get information like that over on their site. Tech also mentioned an MSI graphics card he really liked. In the streamer, so I like EVGA. I think they have some of the best warranty, the best technical support. It's all USA based. The people I talk to don't sound like they're reading from a script. They actually sound knowledgeable. They're open 24/7, and I don't have a hard time understanding them. And they always stand behind their products. So I have an EVGA 2080 graphics card in the streamer, and when I turn the streamer on, it's very, very loud. The last thing you want in broadcasting is a loud computer. Now, the loudness does go down after the post completes and the system loads, but it wasn't that loud with the 1080 I had in there, and there was nothing wrong with the 1080. It was doing a job just fine. But I just thought when I'm rendering, maybe the 2080 will do a better job. So Tech had mentioned an MSI card that he liked, and he said it was quiet. And I've not been a big fan of MSI because of a bad experience I had 15 years ago. I have no doubt MSI is not the same company it was 15 years ago. But if that card is quieter, if I can get a very powerful card that doesn't sound like a jet engine when I fire it up, I'm all ears. Let me know what you like, Tech. I can trust them because I know MSI didn't pay him to say it. Anyway, check them out over at Tech Deals. And they make videos like mine. They'll go on for 4 hours. Both himself and Rogue, his wife. Yeah, he's got a nerdy wife. How jealous can you be about that, right? She likes computers. I guess the younger generation, that's more common, but in the older generation, us, it was mostly a guy thing, So that's really cool. I'm so glad that they found each other because they seem perfect for each other. Carey, pardon my OCD, but your camera is slightly tilted to one side. So it's not that the camera's tilted, it's that the camera's not centered to the island. And so when I move the camera to the right or to the left, it starts to look like it's tilting because of the angle, but it's not tilted. And it's the best I can do to center it to try and make the, I'm looking down at the bottom of the counter to see that it's a straight line and that it's not going like this. But if I just move the camera to the right, it starts to look like it's tilting. But when I get into the other studio, everything should be straight on, and maybe even get 2 more cameras. I had ordered 3 of these cameras. My sister's got one so she can make videos. One is at the other studio and one is here. These cameras were $2,500 a piece. I went online to buy a 4th camera at B&H Photo, and they went up $500. They're now $3,000. Amazon still offers it for $24.99, but it says it won't ship for 3 to 5 weeks. So I think it's because of the pandemic. I'm going to hold off on that, and we'll get to that later. In the meantime, what have I missed in the chat? Let me take a quick look. Oh, I see Acronis joins us. Hey, Acronis, of course, always happy to see Acronis in the house. And we just did a video earlier today. There was a premiere I did that came from a viewer named, he calls himself Superman G. And they had a family he knows. He's known for a long time. They've got like 11 kids, and money is always tight. And he talked with, I believe, Colin Hilton, with somebody else. And they all decided to help build a computer to give to this family. They call it a charity build, but it's not really for a charity. It's for a family in need. Like, I don't know. To me, that word charity has a negative connotation if it's to an individual. But charity to a company, like, a professional charitable organization, I would call that a charity computer because it's going to a charitable organization. If it's going to a person in need, I don't know. I just find that I cringe a little bit at the word. So I would say, it's a gift to a family that would benefit from having it. Family and, you know, I think it's just a more polite way to say it. Regardless of that, Acronis saw that video that was live earlier today, and they said they need to have backup, and we're going to provide that. And Acronis, look, I didn't tell Acronis I was filming that, or I didn't film it. I didn't tell Acronis I was posting it. Acronis just saw it on their own. And they reached out to me and said, here is a license code for a perpetual license, meaning not a subscription, but a permanent, Acronis Trimmage 2020. It never expires. They're not going to get 2021 or 20. You got to get a subscription if you want to do that. But let's make sure that now this family's got this nice computer that they're able to back up all the things they do with it, their photos and their documents and the work that they do, the kids using it for school. What happens if it crashes? So Acronis reached out and said, please provide this product code for perpetual license for Acronis Trimmage 2020. We want to help support this family. How cool is that, right? So my thank you to the folks over at Acronis for your thoughtfulness, your generosity, and for reaching out like that. It was very kind of you. There's nothing in it for Acronis. You know what I mean? They didn't have to do that. And that means a lot to me. And I'm sure that everybody involved will deeply appreciate the thoughtfulness there. Tech Deal says eBay charges as low as 4% for computer parts sales, and Amazon, eBay charge 15%. Oh, I think he meant Amazon Newegg. So you are paying more. Well, look, Newegg's not doing it for charity. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he corrected it. Amazon Newegg. Tech Deal says maybe Fly Guy 23 is a stand-up guy. You never know. Here's what I know. Fly Guy 23 is a reference from there's a comedian named Chris D'Elia, and he goes off about people online and stuff. It's part of his routine, and he mentions Fly Guy 23, and it stuck with me because, and I'm sure you get this at Tech Deals, somebody you don't know who has clicked on your video and watched it for free. Not that you didn't ask them to watch your video. Nobody held a gun to their head and said you have to watch the video. They didn't have to pay any money to watch the video. But they want to come after you and tell you how stupid you are, or how incapable you are. Or I had one the other day. It was so sad. It was funny. Guy says to me, you shouldn't be doing reviews because you're not an engineer. And I'm like, well, no, I'm a real person. And I make reviews for real people. Like if you're an engineer, you probably don't even need reviews. You probably just do all the math in your head and you know exactly all the technical jibber jabber and jargon. Look, I've been in this business for nearly 30 years. I know what all the technical jargon means, and I don't like to use it. I find it offensive. Why do we have to say backups? We already had a word for that. It's called making copies. Why do we have a swap file, a paging file, and virtual memory? It's all the same thing. Can we at least pick one name? Why is it in the computer industry we have to come up with words where there were already plain English words that adequately described what it was we were doing? Why is that? There's something psychological happening there, some form of superiority. If I can come out here and talk to you about the TDP of 125 watts with the, I mean, come on, speak English. What are we talking? Does the cooler work? Is it compatible? That's what the average person wants to know. They don't want all that technical nonsense mumbo jumbo. So I was a little amused that this stranger from the internet watching my content for free that I didn't ask him to watch, that he didn't pay for, who has no videos of his own, is telling me that I have no business making any reviews, or apparently my opinion doesn't matter because I'm not at a certain level that he demands. So my joke is, referring back to Fly Guy 23, oh, geez, that's the first thing I thought when I woke up this morning. I thought, is Fly Guy 23 going to like my video? Because I couldn't sleep at all last night. But now I know. What can you do? I'm either going to cry or I'm going to laugh. Like, why would somebody go out of their way? It's like they'll follow somebody they hate on Twitter just to attack them. If you hate somebody, why are you following them on Twitter? Why are you subscribing to my channel so you can continually watch and put down my videos? So the good news is 99% of you out there appreciate and see the value in what I do. But that 1%, I refer to that 1% as Fly Guy 23 because that's a person that's so disconnected from reality that they think I care what they think, even though they haven't established themselves as anybody I can respect. Like, tell me who you are first. Tell me what qualifies you to criticize me. So you feel like you know me. Now let me get to know you a little bit. Then maybe I'll care. If somebody that I know and respect says something critical to me, it stings. But if some complete stranger using a fake name on the internet who's watching my content for free through his own will, who could turn it off at any time, then is inspired to insult the hard work that I've done and the money I've invested to make content when they've done neither, it's offensive. Not only am I not listening, I often don't even make it past the first sentence. Somebody might write something this long and it says, "You don't know," and I'm like, "That's it, click, erased." And then they get banned. I won't see them again. So my ongoing joke, Tech, is anytime I'm referring to some stranger online in a negative way, like some seller who's, and you're right, could be a very up and up seller, and the eBay is how they sell. But that's my default. That's my Fly Guy 23. And somewhere out there's probably some really super sweet guy named Fly Guy 23 who's got a little tear coming down right now. That's not me. Use your real name. Tell me who you are if you're going to criticize me. Tell me why your opinion should matter to me. If you're somebody I know, if you're a contributor to the channel, if you're somebody I worked with, if you're a publisher, if you have your own YouTube channel where you do what I do, I'll listen. But if you're just a viewer, clicking, 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 and you have nothing kind to say, if you have nothing supportive to say, all you're going to do is get yourself banned. When I was growing up in the 1980s as a teenager, if you did that in real life, you would be physically beaten. So we're living in a different era. I'm telling you. The reason I don't do that is because if and when I ever tried, I got the snot beat out of me. And not just by people like my parents, but like other people, kids my age, anybody, anytime that behavior was not acceptable, and they will punish you and beat you as many times as it takes until you stop doing it. And so now people aren't getting beaten anymore, and they can, sort of have this free will and anonymity. But what they don't realize is by using a fake name and by not establishing who you are, what you have to say doesn't matter to who you're talking to. It's not just me, I'm just talking in general. I mean, how would you feel if you're walking in the grocery store and some complete stranger walks up to you and says, "You shouldn't put that in your cart, it's bad for you"? Mind your own business. You're not eating it, it's not your money. I didn't ask you. Your immediate reaction will probably be defense. And more importantly, you won't sit there and go, I never thought of that. Thanks so much for the advice. I wasn't buying this because it was healthy. Did it occur to you that I was buying it because it brings me joy? So anyway, I went off on a little tangent there, but I feel like I got to get Tech up to speed. All right, let me look in the chat here one more time before we get started doing some actual work. Acronis is asking me, what do you think about PCPartPicker.com? It seems like a very handy site for me. Well, let me ask you this. Do we still have Tech here? Yeah, Tech is still in the chat. Because I'd like Tech's opinion on this, but here's Tech and I see, he doesn't know me very well, so I feel like I know him better. But let's get two opinions on this. First, let me get my Coke. The first opinion, mine, is that PC Part Picker is a great resource if you're not quite sure what parts go together. PC Part Picker will say, hey, you know, that cooler won't fit on that case, or that chip won't fit on that motherboard. But there's a thing PC Part Picker does that really bothers me, and that is they will show you the lowest price for each item individually from different sellers. And most of the time, you know, you're going to see one seller more than others. Like you might see a bunch of Newegg or something like that. If a customer comes up to me and says, here's a box of parts, I went on PC Part Picker and I ordered this from this company, and I ordered the power supply from over here, and I ordered the case from over there, and I ordered the CPU from Newegg, and I ordered the RAM from Amazon, and I ordered the solid state drive from B&H Photo, and then I ordered the optical drive off of eBay, and I got the operating system from some questionable site that sells license keys. There's a couple of problems. One is, more than likely, all those parts did not arrive together. There's nothing worse than having everything you need to build, but the one critical part, like the CPU or the RAM, that you just can't build without it. Well, you can do a certain amount of, but regardless, you're just waiting. Then you have a problem. And I'm not talking about a problem right away. I'm talking about a problem 10 months from now. And the manufacturer for the RMA needs a copy of your receipt, but you can't remember where you bought it from. I don't remember. It was 10 months ago. It came from somewhere. And then you're going to have to dig through your email and try and locate that receipt. If you have a problem right away, you may not have the same customer service experience. So let's say, for example, the power supply is dead and the RAM is bad, and the power supply came from eBay and the RAM came from Amazon. And you say, you log into your Amazon site and you go, oh, you want a refund or replacement? I want a replacement. Okay, here's your return label, put it in a box, drop it off at the UPS store or whatever, you're set. It's 3 minutes in and out. Okay, now power supply. Okay, got to go to eBay, got to file for a refund. And you may end up with a seller who then starts to argue with you and says, well, I sent you a good power supply. You did something wrong. I know the power supply I sent you worked. Or the eBay seller takes 2 days to get back to you, and your whole system build is waiting on this. And they don't normally handle returns. They've never had one before, or they don't want to do it because it's costing them money. Whatever the reasons, tons and tons of reasons. And now your build is being delayed further. And then you might have to get PayPal involved, assuming you paid with PayPal, with eBay. And PayPal tends to, in my experience, they tend to lean more towards the vendor than the customer. I know there's a lot of scammers out there on the customer side. I love PayPal, but if I ever have to call them with a problem, I generally feel like, well, this is going to be a waste of my time. Sometimes they surprise me, but most of the time, their customer service sucks. I can have the same complaint with Discover. Say, hey, I think this person, they're refusing to refund my money. I bought this product. It's not working. They won't refund it. And Discover will say, we're going to put a reverse on that charge. And if we don't hear back from you, we're going to follow through with it. And we'll call you in 2 weeks just to see if everything's okay, to see if they make it right. Because if they don't make it right, you're going to go ahead and have that credited back to you. That's what I expect from PayPal. That's never happened. So I like the customer service at Discover far better than the customer service at PayPal, but PayPal makes it real easy to buy things online. I don't have to put my address in, I just click buy and it's done and I can get on with my life. Now, if PC Part Picker would simply show me, look, if you're buying 7 components to make a computer, your case, power supply, motherboard, CPU, RAM, storage, maybe an optical drive. I don't know. I think there's 7 parts. And if 4 of those parts are coming from Newegg, then just put Newegg for all of it. This idea that you should shop a little over here and a little over there, there's so much fraud happening. There's so many fake sellers, and they all don't honor very good security. So now, if you've used your debit card, right, your debit card's pretty safe at Amazon and Newegg, but is using your debit card going to be safe at flyguy23.com? I don't know. Do they honor security very well? And once they have your credit card, do they keep it on file? And then later on, next year, when their database gets hacked and all their customer information is stolen, do you find that your checking account's been emptied? Was it worth saving $10 and dealing with the customer service potential problems and waiting so that the parts arrive at different times so you can save $10? So that's how I feel about PC Part Picker. It's great to figure out what parts you want, but I wouldn't buy from the places they recommend. Find a place, buy all of your parts from one place. No matter who it is, just buy them all from one place. And if there's just one part, that you want to get somewhere else, that's fine, totally fine. Hey, look, I got everything at Newegg but the CPU. B&H Photo had a better deal on it, and B&H Photo generally takes longer to ship. But to save the money, that's what I'm going to do. But if everything comes from somewhere different, it is a nightmare later on. So, what do you think, tech? A couple of contributions have come in. Let's see what we've got here. Marty joins us. Hey, Marty's contributed $10. He says, good day, Carey and chat. Sinister0021 with a $2 contribution says, we love you, Carey. Thank you for being you. Respect to you. Well, thank you. Marty again with another contribution of $20. He says, hey, we have good friends tonight. Indeed, every night. Jeremy with $2 says, will there be any promotions for RoboForm? Right now, anybody who wants to purchase RoboForm can get 30% off using the link in my video. RoboForm and I have worked this out through mid-August, and we're going to determine, based on what RoboForm has spent to sponsor this channel versus how much money RoboForm made, we're going to evaluate, is RoboForm going to continue to sponsor? And if so, do we have to adjust? Are they paying me too much? Are they paying me too little? So the more you guys, even click on the link and show activity, show influence, it shows RoboForm that we're having an impact. Now, I really like RoboForm. I've been using it over 15 years. And if RoboForm doesn't sponsor me anymore, I still am going to use it, and I still rely on it, and I still like the product. It's the ice cream on top of the cake. The cake would be good without the ice cream, but if I can have the ice cream too, there's an expression, have your cake and eat it too. What's the point of having a cake if you're not going to eat it? Anyway, it's a great relationship, and I hope it lasts a long time. And the way that's going to work is if you guys, at the very least, download the trial. Try it. You need a password manager. Everybody needs one. If you don't know what that is or how it works, it won't cost you anything to try it. And there's a lot of password managers to choose from. But since RoboForm is supporting this community, you might want to just give them the opportunity to prove themselves to you. And if you don't like it, that's okay. You can use a competitor's password manager. Just get one. But at least give some consideration to RoboForm. That's all I'm asking. Anyway, Acronis, so that was my answer on PC Part Picker. Some more contributions that come in. Tech Deals has contributed $20. Hey, thank you so much, Tech Deals. We'll, you know what I think you need? I was in his chat room the other day, and I didn't mean to distract him from his show, but I have to admit I was kind of happy they were talking about me in a good way. What I'm trying to do here on my channel, I don't want to get into the merch business. I don't want to sell coffee mugs and bumper stickers. I do, but I don't want to. So I told my sister, find some stuff that we can sell that's stuff I would use. So, for example, I reached out to a guy and I had him make me these aluminum case badges. So, again, I'm trying to do things other people aren't doing. So this says, inspired by Carey Holzman, and it's got my scribble that I call an autograph. I think if you take this to a pharmacy, they could prescribe you something really good. You ever seen a doctor's prescription pad? Anyway, these are metal. They have double-sided sticky tape on the back, and you can place it on your computer anywhere you want. Stick it in the back, put it here on the front. I wonder if I put it here, will it fit? See if we put it like that. Try and get it centered because it's going to stick really good. Look at that. So you and I, Tech, we'll talk and we'll get you a couple case badges. These make your computer go 10% faster. These are Go Faster stickers. Hey, have you ever seen a race car win a race without stickers on it? Obviously, the stickers make the cars go faster. And that is not true. But anyway, the other thing I'm thinking about doing, a lot of people see me working on rotating this Lazy Susan. This is a 22-inch Lazy Susan. The Lazy Susans I had before, like there was an 18-inch, and many of the computer cases won't fit on them. Like this case fits fine, with room to spare. So on Amazon right now, they've got a Lazy Susan that's 22 inches. It's a lighter color. It's more of a yellowish. What's the word I'm looking for? More of a pine color. What I'm thinking of doing is getting a big brand with my logo on it, and just branding it, burning it into the top of the Lazy Susan. So kind of like this. I don't know that I would put the CH in it, but just to have the circle and the hands up and then have it burned. And I don't know if it'll be big or if it'll, because a branding iron's probably going to be about yay big. And I could stamp it in the middle, or I could stamp it randomly all around. That's going to be a bit expensive, but where else are you going to find that? I'm also trying to look into getting screwdrivers made that have my autograph on them, but trying to find a factory to get them tooled and to get them manufactured to the type of screwdriver that I want. Basically, what I want is this driver here, where you've got the bits in the handle. It's a magnetized tip on the end. I would want it maybe another inch longer, and then I would want some sort of branding. Like we can brand the cap, that's no big deal, but I really want something along the edges, at least on two sides. I want to sell stuff people can actually use, right? And I do have a coffee mug, although I don't know where I put it. Because I saw Tech Deal's coffee mug. Anyway, so my sister designed it. It's kind of funny because we have so many people in blue, so many friends that are blue in the chat. It just says, where my wrench is at. And it's got the blue wrench on the side. So all of the stuff there's only like 4 items we sell, is at careyholzman.com or shop.careyholzman.com. But Tech, we'll talk and I'll send you some swag, you send me some swag. And then we should work together on something. All right. So absolutely, if I'm not broadcasting and you like my content, I think you're going to like Tech Deal's content. Definitely check them out. So back to the support here. Rick Lakes contributed $5. Hey, Rick, thank you for that. Evident Savant with a $50 contribution. Very kind. Thank you. Michael Dane with a $10 contribution. You guys know who Michael Dane is, right? He's the man. Michael says, greetings, Carey. You're the man. No arguing. Too late. OG Gaming contributed $5. Frankie B with a $10 contribution. Thanks to Frankie and, of course, to OG Gaming for their frequent contributions. Brian Osborne with $1.99. He says, you think like me, old school. Man, that ain't old school. It kind of bothers me. It's called the right way. David Anderson's contributed $1.99. He says, I would love a Tech and Carey tell old tech stories. We've already done that a couple of times. If you look in my video library, Mike Smith and I do a show called Tech Vets, and we're sharing, in one particular episode, nightmare scenarios of really bizarre computer problems or really bizarre customers and what we had to do to deal with it, how we resolved it. And I think that was show 149 or show 150. So if you just search on my YouTube channel for Tech Vets, Tech-Vets, Tech-Vets, that means veterans of technology. We're veterans of technology because Mike and I have been doing this over 25 years each. We have together over 50 years of combined experience. So we've seen a thing or two. And what we decided to do for one show was to just take the most extreme examples of things that have occurred to us in our careers and to make a show dedicated to all that. So if you haven't listened to that, it was sort of a twilight zone of computer problems, like really weird stuff and really weird people. I think you'll enjoy that show. Thank you for the contribution. Phil the Gamer with a $5 contribution says, thanks for the Windows 10 Pro from PC World for $39.99. I'll tell you what's funny about that one. So again, I get FlyGuy23 reaching out to me and says, man, you totally have the name of the video wrong. It's not $39.99. It's 39 pounds and 99p. Well, if you're in England, it is. But I promise you, in America, it is not 39 pounds. It is interesting that they kept, because there's a difference in the value of the pound versus the dollar. So it's interesting that they kept it $39.99 in pounds as well as $39.99 in US. So if you're watching me from the UK and you see it says 39 pounds, I didn't make a mistake. It's not that I don't make mistakes. I make lots of mistakes, but that's not one of them. Mark Ostruska has contributed $10. Hey, thank you, Mark. Hugh Wong with $2 says, hi, Tech, Rogue, and Carey. Is Rogue in there? Oh, I'm assuming Tech Deals is both Rogue and Tech. Hi, Rogue. I don't mean to not acknowledge you. I was kind of curious when I first started watching, because I have a hard time discerning the Australian accent from the Pummy accent. See, I'm trying to give her a little insight from a British accent. But then she said g'day, and then I saw the thing with the Tim Tams. I'm like, oh, this is Men at Work, Olivia Newton-John, Little River Band, Midnight Oil. Yeah, all the Australian. Isn't AC/DC Australian? Are they in? I don't think they were originally, but I think they live there now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I could listen to her accent all day. Love the accent. And OG Gaming contributed $10 again. Hey, thank you, OG. Stealth Mode contributed $5 and says, great information on the coolers today. Mike Yazzie with a $20 contribution says, here you go, Carey, always informative. So we're about an hour and 20 minutes into this live stream, and I haven't done a damn thing. Let's take a look here and see what Tech Deals, if he said anything about his thoughts or their thoughts on PC Part Picker, because I completely missed it. He says the cheap seats are easy to comment from. Yeah, but the cheap seats are usually far, far away, so you can't hear them. So I don't know that cheap seats is the right analogy for that. Stephen Bernstein says, on the internet, no one knows you're a dog. Speaking of which, it's Lyle's birthday today. Lyle is the big fluffy dog I've got. So he's another year older today. Acronis is inviting people that have any questions or problems with Acronis to visit them at acronis.reddit.com. They will answer all of your support questions or any questions regarding the product there, and they're pretty on top of it. Like you'll probably get a response uh, within a few hours in most cases. Tech Deals agrees that returns and exchanges are easier and less fuss than buying it all from one place. And it all probably will arrive together versus, one thing's arriving today, another thing tomorrow. Maybe something arrives and you're not home to get it, and then you maybe have porch pirates that steal it, or something requires a signature, blah, blah, blah. Hello to Bruce Key and Gabriel Granados. I see Sharon Idle in there. And who else do we have in here? Looking for familiar names. I see our good friend Colin Hilton, who watches us from the UK and was also part of what made that charity build possible. Colin's a super nice guy. Colin reached out to me and asked if there was more he could do to help with the Kids at Hope computers that I'm building. There's an organization. Look, I'm not a real big charity guy. There's a lot of charities, right? So how do you pick the right one? They're all important. So generally speaking, I think human nature is you support the charity that you most relate to. If you've got lung cancer, you or somebody you know and love has lung, you probably want to support the Lung Cancer Association. If you know somebody with autism, you probably want to support an autism foundation. In this particular case, I had a very, very, very difficult time in my teenage years. I was very alone, very shy, no self-confidence, no self-esteem. And, this isn't, hey, break out the violin, but it was the way I got through it was music. Music's a very big part of my life. I got through it with having a dog, because a dog is always there to support you and listen. And I got through it with having a computer. One of my earliest computers was an Atari 400, and I would spend hours and hours and hours because I didn't have any friends. I went to school, high school, didn't speak to a person. And if you look somebody in the eye, they would say, "What are you looking at?" Very aggressive, like, and if you have no self-confidence, you feel like you're going to run away. And when you run away, people chase you. There's this weird sort of dog-cat mentality. If the cat doesn't run, quite often the dog doesn't know what to do. I've seen that firsthand. And I was very depressed, and I was wondering, why me? What did I do to deserve this? How come everything seems so easy for everybody else? And there was really nobody for me to go to. And my parents were like, we don't know what the hell's wrong with this kid. But clearly, everybody had me convinced there was something wrong with me. And one of the most profound things happened is I was reading a self-help book. And at that time, I was reading a lot of books. I was reading science fiction. I had no friends. I had nothing to do. I didn't have a job. I was too young to work. I had nothing to do. So I was trying to fix me and trying to figure out what was wrong. And I remember, I was at the library, and there was like, oh, there's a book on shyness. Let's get that. Let's check that one out. Oh, there's a book on low self-esteem. Let's get that. Oh, there's a book on low self-confidence. Let's get that one. So I'm starting to walk out of the library with a stack of books like this. And I'm like, this can't be right. I mean, that much can't be wrong with me. These must be symptoms to something else. And one of the books I read, they said, I'm trying to remember exactly how it was phrased, but if you think there's something wrong with you, change your thinking. One of the folks I like to read a lot was a guy named Dr. Wayne Dyer, also from Michigan, just coincidence. And one of his famous lines is, if you change the way you look at things, often the things you look at change. Excuse me, Coke is carbonation. And so it becomes this attitude adjustment, right? It's not that anything in life changed, it's that I changed how I was looking at it, which in effect changed my life. I'm going to give you an example of looking at things differently as a choice rather than as an instinct or as a reaction. Do you say this glass is half full or is this glass half empty? We'll just say, for example, I know it's not exactly, but just follow along. Is it also not possible that this glass may just be too big? And that was a profound understanding to helping me realize that those things that people said were wrong, there was nothing wrong. I was believing them. And believing them was a choice. I was giving them consent. And because everybody in my world, my parents, my teachers, other students, had me convinced that there was something wrong with me. But I was different. And being different is something I learned to embrace. But here's the problem. This was a big struggle because I had to figure this all out on my own. I was using computers when everybody said, computers are a waste of time. My parents were like, you're going to need to get a real job. You're just playing games all day with the computer. We're going to take that computer from you because you're staying up all night, and that's why you're not going to school. No, I wasn't going to school because it was like going to jail for a crime I didn't commit. I would get on the bus. My bus was the last bus stop. And for some reason, they bused me to a school 8 miles away when there was another school 2 miles down the road. But we happened to live right on the dividing line of where the school systems were designated. So I remember this one time, it's the last stop, the bus is full. There's like literally 2 empty seats. And this girl is sitting with her legs across the bench seat so that I cannot sit next to her. I don't know who she is. I don't know why she did it. So I sat on her legs. But in my hesitation, the bus driver yelled at me because he can't move the bus until I'm seated. So I got no students that want to let me sit next to them. I got a bus driver who's yelling at me because he can't drive until I sit down. But nobody's offering to help. Nobody's extending a hand. Now, there's this charity. They're called Kids at Hope. And what Kids at Hope does is they believe every child has the opportunity and the tools they need to succeed with no excuses. You don't go, well, that kid's from a broken home, so we're not going to expect as much from this child as this child over here who, has a nice family and is very well to do in life. And that charity is very important to me because if that charity had existed when I was going through what I was going through, it could have made a world of difference. There's a movie called Antoine Fisher. If you guys have never seen it, check it out. There's a story of a kid who basically, the society has accepted that this kid is always going to be a drain on society. It's not his fault. He was just born into a crappy situation with crappy parents who've basically abandoned him. and he doesn't have any money, he doesn't have any means, and so therefore he'll always be a drain on the state, and that's just accepted. Well, it's not accepted, and he didn't accept it. And if you are interested in that, at least watch the movie Antoine Fisher. Now, I think it's important that nobody should have to go through what I went through, because this went on for years. It was just physical and mental torture from the time I was about 14 until I was about 17. And thoughts of suicide are there. I just want this to stop. What did I do? What did I do to deserve it? So again, I would lose myself in music. I would lose myself, petting the dog, and in the computer. And this organization reaches out to schools and, like some of the restaurants, family-friendly restaurants where they have like play areas for kids, to sort of give them sort of rules, if you will, or an agenda to follow to make sure that nobody's being ignored. None of these kids are being ignored, and that we're not expecting less from one kid than another kid. And part of the agenda is, if you're a teacher at a Kids at Hope school, you have to truly believe that every kid can succeed no matter what. No matter what reasons, you can tell me that kid doesn't have to because they don't have everything all the other kids have. Nonsense. And the example, Rick Miller, who runs the organization, the example he gives is that, would you donate money to a lung cancer association if you went and you talked to the scientists that are working on finding a cure? And they said, well, we're probably not going to find a cure. Would you give them any money? You want those people believing, truly believing, that they're going to find that cure. No excuses. And I think it's a great example. And so for that reason, I'm building them 5 computers. It's a small office, and they did something incredible. Typically, this subject is not covered in academia. When we talk about hope or joy, that's typically considered religion. But Rick Miller over at Kids at Hope, after 40 plus years of pursuing this, was accepted, his organization, Kids at Hope, was accepted as an experiment at Arizona State University in the study of hope. Look, we study criminology. We study everything that does with the justice system. But if we studied hope as an actual academia, in the same way that we study criminology, maybe we can reduce the amount of criminology. Maybe we can make a community that is stronger, more productive, more of a utopia than simply continuing to do what we've always done. So Colin Hilton, I know it's taking me a long time, but I'm coming around. Keep following me. Colin Hilton said, let me get all the power supply. Let me get the cases that I want to contribute. I want the money that I'm giving you to go to the build you're doing. Some folks, Michael Brooks, Ryan in Nevada, had sent some old motherboards they didn't want, the 200 series boards, which are still really good. And so here I was going to finance all this by myself, and you guys have come out of the woodwork going, let's get them these computers. But then the pandemic happened, and so their office at Arizona State University is temporarily closed. So I'm not in a big hurry to get it done, but I have 2 of the systems built. They're both 200 series, Core i7. Keeping in mind the systems they're using are off-lease computers that are probably 8 or 10 years old. And they're just doing office work. It's PowerPoint presentations, Word documents, spreadsheets, email, running the business of the charity. So I know that even though these machines are a couple of years old, there's 200 series chipsets, these will be the nicest machines they ever had. And furthermore, I think I have enough parts from viewers sent in that I put them all in brand new Corsair 200R cases. They're all getting brand new power supplies. Nothing fancy. They don't need video cards. We're going to run off the built-in graphics off the CPU. And and I put an optical drive. I put a brand new optical drive in there. And that's covered basically the first three. I've already built two. I think there's a third one that I have enough parts for. And then the last two, I think I'm going to build some Intel Core i5s, and those will all be brand new. So I told Rick at Kids at Hope, I said, I want you to know that the last two computers, those will be the most powerful. So make sure you give those to the employees that do the most work or that, play a key role. And then the other machines, and they're going to be a far cry from what you've got now. And then I said, what do you want to do with the computers you've got now? Is there another charity you can donate them to? Or if you'd like, do you want me to collect them? I will securely erase them, reload Windows 10 on them, and I will offer them for free to disabled American veterans. He said, I like that option. That sounds great. So, my thanks to Colin Helton, of course, Michael Brooks, and Ryan, and others whose names are probably not at the top of my mind right now, for helping support this. These aren't rocket ships of computer. They don't need that. And they're all going to have 1 terabyte solid state drives. Initially, I was going with the Intel 660p. I think at the time it was a great deal. Right now, I like the ADATA XPG. I've got the 8100s. So the 8100 is what I built in the build that was posted the other day, the Beast. And you'll see how that XPG 8100 compares to the Samsung 970 EVO Plus. But the Samsung 970 EVO Plus is $400 for 2 terabytes. And the ADATA XPG 8100 is $249 or $250 for the same 2 terabytes. And when you put them, on Crystal Diskmark and you measure their performance, they're nearly identical. I mean, from an end user's perspective, I don't think you could tell a difference other than with benchmarks. So that being said, I think they've got mechanical drives now. It's all slow, and I didn't want to put in a 250 or a 500. I want to make sure when I set them up with these computers, they're going to be good for at least the next 5 years. So they've got room to grow, lots of space, and then we're going to get them carbonite or something because they're a small business. Something like carbonite will be a good solution for backing up, the data, and then we'll probably use something like a Cronus to do system images on occasion to ensure that if anything were to completely fail, that we can restore back. We're going to get them all set up once things get back to normal, and then you will see these builds coming up in the future, and I'll probably be breaking out some of those new coolers for that. So, again, thanks to Colin Hilton, if you see Colin in there. I've had a couple of people reach out to me. I think Dennis Doya and Al Cooey had reached out as well, wanting to be a part of this. And so you guys are amazing. And for reasons I've already mentioned, it's important to me that this charity exists, because if it doesn't, there's no other organization like it that I'm aware of. And never before has a university ever explored hope in the sense of academia. And I'm hoping that Arizona State University sees the value in that and can start offering that as a major or a minor course. I mean, why not? They offer psychology, psychiatry, and criminology. Where is hope outside of a religious organization? Why does it have to be religious? So anyway, got a little off topic there, but good to see Colin. Sharon says, some of us will come to the end of our lives before Carey starts building. And Colin says he's building a gaming computer for his next build for a young boy that he knows. He's a very generous guy, super nice guy, as is Michael Dane. Michael Dane's another one of our community members that's giving computers to families that he knows around him in his community and helping them out. So you guys are very amazing. I'm very proud of all of you. I see Computer Len joins us. You know, Len is the previous viewer video, right? So we did a viewer video today earlier, and then a couple weeks ago there was another computer viewer video build that was Len. So he's joining us here in the chat room. William Lynn says, I can relate. All of middle and elementary school people have hated me, and I had no friends. People called me names. I know I live a better life because of your inspiration. Thank you. I just think people need to know, no matter what, no matter how you feel, I can tell you for a fact, you are not alone. And so everybody's always welcome in my chat room, always. If you don't feel welcome in my chat room, that's on you. That's your problem to deal with, because everybody here is kind and supportive, and if they're not, they're going to get booted out. So no matter what your challenges are in life, do know that this chat room and this channel you will always be welcome here. You will always be one of us. Always know that. If you have nothing else, at least I promise you, you have that. And Marty contributed $20. He says, now you have many friends. You mean like Fly Guy 23? Marty is a viewer who has become a friend. I've gotten to know him quite well. M. Watson 1972 contributed $2, says, awesome job. And David Smith with a 10-pound contribution. John Young contributes $5 and says, happy birthday to Lyle. Brian Osborne with $9.99 says, go buy your dog a bone. Oh, we'll see if he'll let me. Michael Dane contributed $5. He says, Carey, I am working on my 25th computer, getting ready to give it to another family in need for homeschooling. You're my inspiration for computers for families. That's awesome, Michael. That is awesome. Chris Kingan contributes $5. Here's for the support. Go buy some Coke with it, and happy birthday to Fluffy Lyle. All I can tell you is Michael Dane's got some pretty good karma in the bank. I can tell you that. Patrick Manny with $5 contributes and says, for Lyle's birthday party. Thank you, Patrick. Robert Jones contributes $5. He says, this is for the kids at Hope Build. They never be adults that need hope. Oh, here's my hope, that they never become adults that need hope. Yeah. Yeah. Tony Wallow, good friend of the channel. Speaking of friends of the channel, not that you all aren't, but there's some that I feel I know better than others, has contributed $1.99. Jack Blackadder said, I wanted to start a nonprofit to build PCs for autistic and disabled adults in poverty, but did not go well in Pittsburgh. Got laughed at over the attempt and clout prerequisites. Yeah, you know, there's always going to be obstacles to any goal you want to achieve, no matter what it is. Sometimes it's best to just start smaller, take smaller bites. If there is a particular person or family in need that you know, if you can slap together some spare parts laying around, or you can buy one of those off-lease computers for like $150 if you can spare it, to get them going, see how that works out for you. Because I will tell you, people talk about joy, or if I had money, if I had money, if I had money. But the thing is if you use that money to help somebody else who doesn't, and if, and this is a big if that person shows you appreciation, it'll be the best $150 you've ever spent for you, for your soul. It's going to give you a sense of fulfillment that there's just no words. It's indescribable. What do you think Michael Dane's on computer number 25? The guy's an addict. in a good way. And they don't have to be, expensive computers. For somebody who has nothing, to give them something, and I know you're my viewers, so you're not going to give them absolute crap. I know you're going to give them something that perhaps wouldn't be good enough for us, but for somebody who has nothing would be amazing. And for a lot of these people, I think what a lot of people don't realize, just to give you an example, one of the veteran giveaways I did went to a gentleman in Oklahoma who lost his barn and his home in a fire. And he couldn't believe he got the computer that he was selected. You guys selected him, I didn't, right? He was in the chat room. You guys said, hey, he's deserving. And I said, okay, guys, and I sent it off to him. He sent the nicest email back that basically said that by sending him this, look, we do a little upgrade on the computer. It's like a $200 computer. It's like $60 to ship it. All in all, there's no more than $300 invested. But the response I got from him was everything in his life was crap. Everything was going bad. Everything was turning sour. Nobody was helping him. He was very alone, very distraught, and kind of didn't really have any joy or no motivation to get out of bed in the morning. Why should I? It's just another day of crap waiting for me. And this computer arrives. And he said it was the first nice thing anybody had done for him in a long time. At a period of time where he was at his lowest, and it reinvigorated him. And he just wanted me to know how much it meant. And it wasn't like he won the lottery. It's a very simple gift. I know Colin Hilton had written me a letter that was very touching with regards to inspiring him to get off your butt and build a computer. And if you don't need one, build a cheap one and give it to a charity. And he's been doing that ever since. And no matter what else happens, no matter what highs and lows await me personally, I'll know that I have had a positive impact on other members of the community, the world community. My goal is that they will also have a positive impact on members of their community, and that those people will have a positive impact on members of those community, and that the whole world starts to become nicer, more thoughtful, or at least a greater percentage than it currently is. So I'm ambitious, but it feels good. Try it sometime, if you haven't already. Jim Desposito with a $2 contribution said he's stuck at work. Good time for a live chat. Right on. RM contributed $4.99. He says, you're an outstanding guy, Carey. I have a lot of respect for you. Thank you for your time and sharing your experience. I love the channel. Right on, RM. Thank you so much. Thanks for supporting the channel. Should I do some work? Colin Hilton says he's a pensioner. That's UK talk, meaning he's retired, collecting a pension. So he doesn't get a lot of money. But he says his aim in life has always been to help others. Look, it's its own reward. That's all I can tell you. It's not an obligation. It's not work. It gives your life purpose, and it leads to fulfillment. So you can understand that when I did that last batch of giveaways to the disabled veterans, when I didn't receive any thank yous or any acknowledgement that they received the computers, it stung a little bit. So even though a gift is a gift, it doesn't mean it's only a gift if you do something back. It was just disappointing that somebody who claimed they were in need, somebody who claimed that they really desperately needed this, who got it, couldn't be bothered to so much as say, hey, it arrived. They couldn't say thank you. They can't appear in the chat room from time to time and use the computer that we as a community agreed to send to them, that we as a community paid for in full so that they could benefit, and they can't come in here every once in a while. So that's why you haven't seen many giveaways from me lately. Not only do I have a lot of work to do, but I'm not prioritizing the giveaways right now because I'm still a little hurt, a little disturbed that that whole batch basically went out to people that didn't show any gratitude. So I'll cool off. I'll forget about it and we'll start again. And I'm not going to demand it. I'm not going to say you have to say thank you. I would never say that. But you shouldn't have to. They got a computer. They can't. Anyway, I don't even like thinking about it. It's very disheartening. But when you do it for somebody who shows gratitude, for somebody who says thank you, or for somebody who says, hey, this has made a huge impact and change in my outlook on life, man, there's nothing better. Nothing better. Are you guys ready for dinner? I guess we'll feed the dogs first and then we'll get started on the build. Birthday boy here got groomed. Come here, boy. Let's see you. Come here. Come here. Let's see if he's all pretty now. Hi, Jimmy. Oh, boy. Are you all groomed? Did you get it all done for the camera? Are you ready for your camera time? You're just nothing but tail. That's all you do. You just walk around flaunting your tail. Are you ready for dinner? Come over here. Come here. See your brother? Come here. So you think, well, maybe that dog's deaf, but then you say food, and then he's like right there. You ready for some food? Yeah, he's definitely not deaf. Are you a good boy? Are you ready for some food? Are you hungry? All right, let's get some food. It's your birthday dinner, same as yesterday. How about you, Coco? Jimmy, Cocoa Puff. Where is he? Where's Jimmy? There he is. You ready? Are you ready? There's a good boy. Are you a good boy? You ready for some food? Okay. Is that good, boy? Fluffy thing? Just a big old ball of fluff. Put the camera back where it was here. Does that look straight? Pretty good. The Drunken Trolls contributed $10. He says, I learn from you every time I watch. The meaning of life is learning. The meaning of life, the universe, and everything is 42. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Thanks for giving me some meaning. All right, right on. Thank you. Thank you for having an open mind and offering what I say is consideration. I'm not here to sell you anything. Just trying to offer you a different perspective. Oh, there is some swag I forgot about. Shame on me. I'm dropping the ball over here. My sister had a batch of mouse pads ordered and sold out of them, and she recently got a new order of these mouse pads. These are super thin mouse pads, and this is a microfiber cloth that you can use to clean your computer screen with. And these are available at shopcareyholzman.com. I don't know if we're going to print up another batch or not. So one of the things I don't like to do is I don't like to offer something constantly all the time where it doesn't make it special. If we do limited editions of things, then you get it while you can, and then after that you've missed out. And then periodically maybe bring it back for a time. That's my preference because I think things hold more value if they're harder to get. So we have a batch in. If you want to order them, go to careyholzmanshop.com or shop.careyholzman.com. There's links down below the notes below the video. Again, there's only things I want to offer for sale are things I would use myself, or specifically things people have asked for, like the coffee mugs. You ready for cookies? Hold on, I gotta get these boys some cookies. You ready for cookie? What are we gonna get? What are we gonna do today? What do we have here? Something from BarkBox. Here, stand over here. Stand where they can see you. There's my boys. There's my boys. Okay. Okay. I don't know, does that look good? You want one? Sit. Good boy. All right, you can have that one. And you can have that one. Oh, was he going outside with it? Well, I guess that's all there is then. I was going to give him more than one, but if that's the way he wants to play it, it's his birthday. Crazy dogs. All right. Am I going to try and set a new record for how long I can just do the monologue and never start the video? I might be onto something here. Do they make a Mugen 5 120 millimeter for LGA 1151? You can certainly go to Scythe, just do a Google search for Scythe, SCYTHE, and then go to their website and you can see all of their products. You can also go to Amazon and do a search for Scythe to see the products that are available at Amazon. I don't work for Scythe, I don't represent Scythe, and I don't know Scythe's inventory or models. All I can tell you is I used the standard Mugen 5 on nearly every build I've done this last year. Other than that, you can go directly to Scythe for more specific detailed information. And I would encourage you to do just that. All right, now let's see if we can do something here. Take that off, put it over here. So what I want to do, and again, I do like this Be Quiet cooler. I just don't like the color of it in this case. So I will reuse this cooler in an upcoming build. You know, the simplest thing for me to do is just pull the heatsink off and replace it with the black one. I wouldn't have to change anything else. But I'm really curious about this upHere branded cooler. I've never heard of this brand. I don't know how well it's going to work. And I'm wondering how it compares, both in the installation process and in the price, and noise, and its cooling ability. So we'll start here by taking the fan off of the Be Quiet cooler. There we go. And then I will keep all the spare parts together. I've got the rest of the spare parts for other socket types in a Ziploc bag in the motherboard box, as I always do. So I'm going to make sure I take that out and keep it all together so that when I want to use it on a future build, whether it's Intel or AMD or even a socket 2011, that I will have everything I need so I can complete that install as though it was new out of the box. And then we'll go ahead and take the two screws out here that hold the cooler in. There's one here. And there's one over here. So the grinding sound is the sound of the clutch on this driver. If it were tightening, the clutch actually shuts off. But in loosening it, you can hear that noise. So I'm going to set this over here. And then we've got to take these support brackets off. So Amazon had the, because I don't know if you caught what I said earlier, if you were paying attention. The Samsung 970 Evo Plus is one of the fastest NVMe drives you can buy right now. That's PCI Gen 3, let me specify that. Because obviously if it's PCI Gen 4, then that's not the fastest. But I don't think many people have an X570 motherboard, which is the only board out there that'll support PCIe Gen 4. The Samsung 970 Evo Plus 2 terabyte drive has been selling between $429 to $459, even though its suggested retail price is $399.99. And I watch it daily on Amazon, and for about the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's been in the mid $400 price range. Today, when I checked Amazon, it was back to $399.99. So I ordered a couple more, and if you want to order one, this is the time at Amazon. And please use my Amazon link when you shop at Amazon, because the channel will make a small commission. You don't pay any more. You won't pay any more. And it is $400, so I think the commission on that's a couple of dollars, and that adds up. Let me see if I can generate a link for you guys for that, because this isn't going to last very long. If tomorrow is anything like yesterday and last week and last month, I imagine this drive is going to go right back up in price again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a link for you guys. And it'll be a shorter link. Give me just a second to log into my Amazon account. And then it'll allow me to make a link. Now, if you use this link, oh wait, that's 1 terabyte. I want the 2 terabyte drive. So there's the 2 terabyte. Let's do this. So what I'll do is I'm going to put this in the chat. So if you're in the chat room right now, you're going to see a message from me. You're going to see 2 messages. One is the description, and the other is the link. And if you use that link, whoops, I typed the same thing twice. There it is. Now there's the link that'll take you directly to Amazon, to that page, if you're interested in that drive. But if you use that link to buy anything from Amazon, then I make a small commission. It's just that my link took you to Amazon, right? Then whatever you did while you were there, I make a commission from. Anyway, so the $399.99 is a, I hate to say it, but it's a good price. It sounds like a lot of money, but that's manufacturer's suggested retail price. That's what it should always be selling for. But for whatever reason, because of the pandemic, because of distribution, the price has gone, into the mid 400s as normal. So if you were thinking about buying one, I don't know when prices are going to get back to, like $10 off MSRP. I don't see it happening this year. So unless you want to wait till 2021, I think $399.99 is the best you're going to be able to get it for. And I'm sure that that will change if you're watching this video after July 6th, 2020. You might find that I'm going to see the comments. It's not $399 anymore. Well, no, it's not. I told you. But they're going to do it anyway because, Fly Guy 23. Okay, so I got to take these standoffs off of here. Everybody have a good 4th of July? I'll tell you, it was weird. I think all of the cities canceled their 4th of July celebrations. But people in the community bought their own fireworks, and I think they put on a better show than the city ever did. Just a completely uncoordinated bunch of people setting off fireworks with no communication between them. Just, I think I'm going to set this off right now. It turned out to have a pretty nice night of fireworks. Who knew? I had some sparklers. I know, right? All right, so that's going to take the back plate off of there. And then I'm going to have to take this other panel. What's really bothering me on this other panel, you can see I can't close it. I tried my best to just kind of push the cables flat before I did any actual cable management, just to get an idea. And it really doesn't look too bad. It looks like it's going to fit in there okay. But then you go to close it, and it just doesn't even come close. I wish this wasn't glass. I wish this was metal. And I wish this had some sort of way to lock it down, because those magnets, basically what it means is I'm going to have to be very careful with the cable management on this to get those cables as tight and as close to the back of the motherboard tray where that back panel is never going to close. So despite how beautiful this case is, it sure would have been nice if they gave us just a little bit more room here, because I don't think these cables are sticking out that far. I don't know what the problem is. They're very loose. It's not like the cables are pushing outward, and yet it almost feels like it's these cables right here that are giving me grief. I don't know what's going on. So once this whole system's built, I'll deal with that later, but I've got that to look forward to at the very end. That is definitely something that I don't think they thought out very well. And I don't know why you would put your solid state drives back here and then put a window so that you can see them. Who's looking at this side of the computer? And what is there to look at? I mean, couldn't you just... So I had this idea. What if we did this? Hear me out. What if we just take a picture of the inside of the computer, and then we take the side panel and rewrap it? We have it turned into vinyl, and so that way it looks like you have a case window. Should I offer that in my Carey Holzman shop? Should I offer a super high-end liquid cooler RGB, have the thing just look beautiful, and then you just stick it on the side of your computer, and everybody thinks that's what the inside of your computer looks like, when in fact you could have an old 8086 in there, no one would know. I might be onto something with that idea. Don't encourage me, because I might just do it. Of course, you'd have to make it custom for each case, but I think the 200R would be a good candidate to experiment with. and just find a nice, do a really nice build in a 200R, real showy, get a nice clear picture of it. Have someone like Stephen Boker, who's a printer, and he can make that decal for us. Or he could do like a vinyl wrap. And now you don't need a case window anymore. Problem solved. In fact, you don't even have to buy high-end components, but you can have a picture of high-end components, and if it looks like they're inside of your case, problem solved, and look at the money you saved. I might be onto an idea there, if it hasn't already been done. Why is that not coming out? All right, we'll set that there. So we'll keep all those pieces together, and that fully removes the cooler from the computer. See, that's real easy to do. That's no big deal. And I'm going to just use this paper towel, and we're going to wipe off that thermal compound. Because we're changing the cooler, we want to change the compound. If I was going to put the same cooler right back on, and I mean exactly the same cooler, then between what the cooler has on the bottom of it and what the heat spreader on top of the CPU has on it, because it's not old, because it's still fresh, it wouldn't be important to have to clean it off because it's all still fresh and clean and full coverage. But if the CPU, like if I were to change out just the heatsink to the black one, I'd still have to replace the thermal compound because half of the thermal compound, speaking of which, I better clean the bottom of that. Half of that thermal compound is still on the bottom of this heatsink. All right, good enough for now. If I don't clean it off, it kind of gets all over stuff, and it's messy and it's hard to get off. So I'm going to grab some Q-tips and rubbing alcohol so we can prepare the surface for a fresh, clean application of thermal compound, and we'll try this new cooler out and see what it does. Now, we've already done the Prime 95 test on this build a few days ago, last week, and we'll do it again on this one. Stand by. So I was talking about in earlier broadcasts how I try to do something and then I get distracted. So there I was talking and talking and talking and not getting any work done, completely uninterrupted. I actually started to work and then I got interrupted. I think this is something I was waiting for. I don't know. Is this what I think it is? It is. There was a cooler that was not part of the earlier introduction. because I got tired of waiting for it to arrive. The only reason I bought this cooler is because I think it looks cool. Like not chilly cool. I think it looks badass. This is the V8 GTS cooler from Cooler Master. And it kind of looks like a, I don't know, like a motor out of a car. And I was thinking of actually using this cooler in this build, but this G-Skill Royal Z RAM is a beautiful RAM, and I don't want any cooler that's going to overlap that RAM. And it's one of the things I wanted to check before I started, was to see what how this cooler is going to look in there. Because one of the nice things about the Be Quiet cooler was that, you know, it didn't in any way, shape, or form cover the RAM. Well, let's see, is that going to be okay? Oh, yeah, I think that's going to look perfect. And yeah. Perfect. Oh, I'm feeling it. Are you feeling it? I'm feeling it. So notice on that cooler, we don't have to attach the fans like you see me do on the sides and the Be Quiet and the Arctics. They all require you to hook those fans up. This one, obviously, the fans are already installed for you. So let's see what the installation process is like. But first, Ricky B says, I retired from the company that invented the vinyl billboard wrap, and we printed a picture of the open overhead door into the research and pull on the door when it was closed. I've seen garage door wraps where it looks, you could Google garage door wraps, and they've got some garage door wraps that make it look like your garage door is open when it's closed, and inside of your garage is like an F-15 fighter or a Ferrari or all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm just using some denatured alcohol, but you can use rubbing alcohol. You want the highest alcohol content you can find. I know that the Walmart near me sells rubbing alcohol with 2 different strengths. So if you see rubbing alcohol of different strengths, get the one that's the strongest, get the highest number, the one that has the most alcohol. And when I apply this, I don't have to dry it off, it's just going to evaporate. And I just want to get all of the old thermal interface material off of there. TIM, thermal interface material. Sometimes it's called thermal grease. I do believe the industry term is thermal material. All right. I just figured why not just clean that while it's out. And that's all that takes. Now, as to install this cooler, I have no idea. Not a clue. I don't see any videos about it. Looking at it, looks like it'll snap right onto an AMD AM4 socket without any issue. But we're not running an AMD. This is a 9900KS processor, which on Amazon right now is $1,500. And here's our instructions. Okay. That's a little bit lacking. AMD. Okay. So, what does it say to do here? Step 1, install the bracket on the motherboard. So the bracket is this piece. They're referring to this as the bracket. There's a fan splitter cable, but this motherboard should have two fans, like CPU fan and then CPU optional. Should be on there somewhere. There's CPU fan. Where's the secondary one? I swear this had two. Oh, there's one right over here. We're using the one down here already. Sometimes there's one right in this area. I thought there'd be two up here. That's okay. I might be able to run the cable out from the CPU fan back behind it and then in through here and onto the fan header there. A lot of times on boards there's like one above the other or one beside the other. But for some reason, maybe because it's a micro ATX board, we don't have that. Or maybe I will just use the fan splitter. Why not? Why not? Plug it on now. I'll worry about making it look pretty later. So it says, step 1, install the bracket on the motherboard, insert for bolt. Not for bolts, insert for bolt. Fixed bolt, insert stents. The stents installed on the motherboard, last insert fixed pin of the motherboard. Did you get all that? I don't know what that means. So there's two sets of pins and stents. Interesting. I don't know which ones I'm supposed to use. It looks like these two bags have nearly identical components in them. I don't know if it wants me to use these standoffs or these standoffs, which also has the thermal material in there. I don't know what the difference is. The bags don't seem to have any label. The documentation doesn't seem to indicate how to identify them or that there is two. It looks like there's even typographical errors. Like, I know this is a cheap cooler, but if you look here, it says in the parentheses, tore open the packing, apply evenly on the CPU. It says this is a Stennis, S-T-E-N-Y-S. But down here it says it's an S-T-E-N-T-S. I think they meant stent and they typed Stennis. They're just making words up now. Fixed bolt insert stents. The stents installed on the motherboard. Last insert fixed pin of the motherboard. Okay. I like step 3. I want you to read step 3 with me here. Install the radiator on the motherboard. 1. First radiator short hook button in the stand. 2. One hand will flatten the radiator. 3. At the same time, another hand will be another button pressing down. Yeah, I said that. At the same time, another hand will be another button pressing down. 4. Hook stents, capital O, on the other side of the hook. 5. Or so mobile, check whether the radiator is installed firmly? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? The stent is placed on the, anyone? Anyone? Motherboard. And then the fixed bolt is applied to the stent. Anyone? Anyone? Before the fixed pin is applied directly to the board. Anyone? Anyone? To apply the radiator at the same time. Anyone? Another hand will be another button. Anyone? Pressing down. It's a little Ferris Bueller, Ben Stein humor. Okay, so that's going to go on there. Those are awfully long holes. They don't tell me if I'm going towards the top, towards the bottom, in the middle. I got no information. I don't know what these are for. Are they extras? Are they different? This is my favorite video game to play. How to install the Chinese cooler. What have I gotten myself into? Well, look, I can stare at it all day, or I can just start to do something and see what happens. So if we're putting this standoff piece, it goes in here somehow, some way. Yes, no, no. Anyone? Anyone? No. This way? No. How about this way? Nothing? No. Joy? No joy? Oh. Oh. So that just kind of went in there like that. But is that far enough through? Is that going to... And furthermore, you'll see it can mount at the top of that hole or at the bottom. I've got it in the bottom, but if I take it out and raise it up, it should be able to go right in there like that. Oh, look at that. Oh, fancy. Let's see. If I put that one there, yeah, it can't go into the outside hole because that's too big. So we have to go to the inside. So I'll tell you what, let's just put all of these towards the inside and see what that leads to. Boy, it sure would be nice to know what this other bag was for. My biggest fear is, that's awesome. Will you build one for me? I don't remember. I don't remember how I did it. Okay, so if these all go in the bottom, let's just pretend like we know what we're doing and move forward with confidence. There's a little groove on this plastic insert. I don't know how well the camera can pick that up. And then within the hole on this frame, there are slots or grooves inside. So it'll align by sliding the groove into the slot. And at the very end of it, it's got two little plastic pins that stick out that keep it from falling all the way through. So if we put that in there like this, there doesn't seem to be an up or down with regards to the rotation. So it's not that specific, but just definitely need to get it in the groove. And then it seats right in there with those little plastic pins holding it right at the top. And then this part then should plug into the board. And then once you're plugged into the board, when you insert these pins, it should cause that end right there to get wider. And that's what, just like a traditional Intel heatsink, locks it in place. Now there doesn't appear to be an up or a down. It looks like this will go on any of 4 directions. This is the single most unusual cooler install I have done in a very, very long time. And I have to tell you, it's still not lining up. Okay, this may sound a little crazy, but it's almost like it wants 2 of these in one position and the other 2 in the top position. That doesn't make any sense to me. But it's like when I'm putting it in and lining it up with the mounting holes on the board, it appears that the only way it's going to align is by putting 2 of these. Oh, wait a minute. Why is there a gap? Oh. There's actually 3 positions in the grooves. There's one right by my fingernail, there's another, and then there's another. So what I'm looking at is I'm saying there's a little gap between this little clear plastic piece and the edge of the frame. But on this side, it goes right up against the frame. So, let me just try putting it in the middle, because that would make more sense than putting them in different positions, because that's weird. So what if we just do the middle? Just do the middle. I think they could have gone a little bit more detailed with the instructions. I think they could have hired a native English speaker to help them to translate. I can't imagine it's that much money. It's not like it's that technical of a document to be translated. Because look, technical documentation translation is a good paying position, but I don't think it's going to require that much from a translator. That, I don't think a translator needs to have special skills. I'm just saying, if you want to sell in a market, you should speak that market's language. Okay, so now I've adjusted them all so they're in the middle position. See, there's a little gap between the edge of this frame and that plastic piece. Let's see if that aligns any better now. Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Okay, what does it say now? Here's a reminder. Here's your reminder. This is the sort of overview. Here's step 1. Install the bracket on the motherboard. Insert 4 bolt. Fixed bolt, insert stents. The stents installed on the motherboard. Last, insert fixed pin of the motherboard. Okay, Beavis. Install the radiator. Oh, all right. So I guess what it's saying now is take these pins and push the pins into the holes, and it should lock this bracket onto the board by spreading out the back end of that connector. So if we do that, now that shouldn't come off, right? Right. If we come around the other side and look, that looks just like a standard stock Intel CPU mounting technique, just that Intel's already got it put together for you, right? So this you're putting together yourself. So far, not so bad. Not too bad. Should I trust this thermal compound? Is it made from puppies? I don't, they do some weird things in China. Thermal conductivity, thermal resistance, use for CPU cooler, and there's a website there. Made in China. Okay. Let me get a nitrile glove. We'll do this right. I know what you're asking yourself. How do I know that this glove is clean? It's very simple. Yeah, it's clean. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that to come off like that. That was weird. I was not expecting that. I think that's supposed to come off. I think that's like some kind of a just packaging to keep it from opening in the package. I'm gonna leave it that way. My OCD likes that. All right, so we're gonna put some thermal compound on here. Now, there's nothing more frustrating or amusing than the people who get all worked up on how I apply thermal compound. It's as if I was telling them they have to do it my way. But I never said that. I simply said, here's the way I do it. And if you want to do it that way, well, go right ahead. I don't know why they think. I don't know why sometimes a viewer, wow, this thermal compound is a little bit dry. It's probably old. I don't know why some viewers think I'm telling them what to do. I'm simply showing the viewer how I run my business. And if you've been running a business for over 20 years and you want to talk to me about the way you do things, that'd be great. But if you're just sitting at home building computers and watching YouTube channels and want to criticize how I work, well, that's probably not going to go over really well. Besides, I don't care. I'm just staying in business and having happy customers. So if you're my customer, then I care. But if you're not my customer, I'm not telling you to apply your thermal compound this way. I'm simply sharing with you out of the kindness of my heart a learned process after decades of doing this that consistently works reliably and is a nice clean process with full coverage. And if you wish to dismiss that, please dismiss it. Now, to put the cooler on, what do I have to do? Probably put my glasses back on so I can read whatever crazy tiny little font size this is. First radiator short hook button in the stand. One hand will flatten the radiator. Yeah. Clear as mud. What they're referring to are these hooks on the side. These hooks are going to hook into the frame that we just installed. But I've installed, look. When I installed the frame, I just put it in. I didn't think about any particular orientation. It didn't seem to require any. And so there are odds that if it had to go in, 2 ways out of 4. In other words, you can rotate this 90 degrees and it'll plug in each way. And so without thinking that there was anything specific I had to worry about, just whatever way it went in was fine. Well, there's this thing called Murphy's Law. And Murphy's Law states that however you did it wrong. If it's a 50-50 chance, you did the other 50. So here's what I'm looking at. If I want the radiator to go on with the fans facing, this way, which, by the way, what direction are these fans moving? I mean, are the fans going to be blowing air this way? Or does it matter? Is it always... Because it looks like the fans are blowing into each other. It appears to me that this fan is pushing air into the radiator and that this fan is pushing air into the radiator. One of these fans, well, maybe one of the fans works backwards. Maybe it's turning the opposite way. Yeah, I guess it is. If you look at the shape of the fans here, look at the shape, and look at the shape of the fans here. So I'm going to guess that this fan, this is an odd way, this has got to be pulling air. So we want it to go in this way. But that means the brackets are on the top and the bottom, and I put the bracket hooks on the side to side. So I have to turn the bracket 90 degrees, I think. Or did they give me hooks all the way around? And our VRMs are right there too. And the solid state drive is right there by the hook. This is a little frightening now. Now I'm getting scared. So I'm going to peel this tape off that keeps the bottom of the heatsink clean. All right, so that's off of there. And if this is the fan that's blowing air out, then we want, I'll tell you what, let me set the case flat so I can see what I'm doing. Sorry guys, you're not going to get much of a view of this, but I'm doing what I can here. So if that's going to go on that way, this is going to go on here. But now I can't see anything. Okay, so that's one hook. And now I use the other hand to flatten the radiator, which I guess they mean push down on it. But I can't see. Why do you do this to yourself, Carey? I don't know how I'm supposed to get this. If the motherboard was out of the box, out of the case, I think I could probably do it a lot easier. Doing this inside of this case is definitely a challenge. What if I did it the other way? What if I instead of putting that end on first, what if I put the other end on first, since that one is so hard for me to see? Come on now. All right, I'm going to put this other side back on because at least I was making some progress. All right, there's one side on, and then flatten the radiator. Flatten. We'll flatten it, all right. Does this top come off? No? Anybody? I don't know if this top comes off. If this top came off, it would be so much easier. I just don't know. That's right, it has a screw back here. I remember. There's a screw back here, and then the top slides back. It slides back, and then we can take that off. All right, now you can kind of see my frustration. So what we're looking at is down here. What I'm trying to do is this latch right here connects onto that plastic frame, but at least now I can get a better handle on it. And push down. So these latches, they move left and right. So you want to get it to the outward position. Oh, it was so close. Okay, out. Why is it not latching? Feeling a cramp. Let's see what the chat room says. This cooler will not cool a 9900ks. I don't care. I'm just installing it, all right? Whether or not it cools it, I have other coolers to choose from, but I don't want to take anybody's word for it. I want to see for myself. And furthermore, a 9900ks doesn't run that hot until you're really pushing the machine, right? So, like for example, the streaming computer right now is using like, what percentage of processor? 0.3%. So 1/3 of 1% of processor power. So I'm sure the cooling demands will be fine until you really start pushing it. So depending on what this computer is going to be used for, this cooler may be fine. But on the other hand, based on what I'm experiencing so far, this might be a good example of what not to buy. I don't know yet, but I don't necessarily want to take anybody's word for it until I see it for myself. And I encourage you guys, to some extent, to have your own experiences. Don't just think whatever anybody says online is true, or even if it were true, like I said, even if there isn't enough TDP dissipation on this cooler for maximum cooling, you're assuming a worst case scenario. You're assuming that the computer's going to be, the processor will be used in such a way that it would generate that much heat to begin with. And, you know, if this was going to sit in an office somewhere doing PowerPoint and Excel and Word, this cooler, I guarantee you, will be fine. But on the other hand, if you're, when we run Prime 95 on it, this cooler may prove to be woefully inadequate. But we're going to give it a chance, because the instructions are so poorly written, I don't believe the specs are right either. Well, I wanted something different. I did say that. I just don't know why it's not latching. I feel like it should be latching right there. It's weird because I can feel that plastic clip and I just can't seem to get under it enough. It's as though, I'll tell you what I think is happening. There are VRMs directly below the clip. And I think the problem is I'm hitting the top of the VRMs with the side of the clip, and it's not able to get underneath. So what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to force it. This cooler does not seem to be compatible with this motherboard based on the design, but I think I can force it. Or I'll break my motherboard. Either way, should make for a good video. It may be that I've got to put this end on first because of that. Yeah. Okay, so that end is on now. And now this end shouldn't have that problem. And I just got to remember that because I've got a feeling I'll be taking this off. I better remember, be careful, because the VRMs are right there. Come on now. Well, at least I can see it on this side. Let me get a different flashlight because seeing it is critical. Maybe this one will do the job. I'm sure you guys don't have the best view in the world, but that's all I can do. Wouldn't think it would be that difficult. Got to make me earn my money today. Okay, time for a break. Time for a break. Sometimes, sorry guys, sometimes when it starts to get frustrating, you just need to stop for a minute and take a break. It's a 2 flashlight build. Put it on the floor and stand on it. Mike Ladd says, I'd have it in return shipping already. JG Kennedy wants to know if step 10 is do not use this cooler with modern motherboards. You know, it seems like that might be a good step. Glenn's Music says the instructions weren't poorly written. It's just that the words had to be inserted into a lateral rotation relative to the force used to press down on the fan whilst using your third hand. I'm not pushing the button right. That much is true. Let's see, we've got a couple contributions that come in while I've been struggling over here pathetically. Chester Hughes contributed $2. The Drunken Troll, oh, I mentioned that one already. Red Dragon with $2. Thomas Tidwell contributed $20. Hey, Thomas, thank you. Samuel Ramos with $5. Michael Horico has contributed $5. Says, keep it up, Carey. Thanks for your skill and builds. That's Mike from Cleveland, Ohio. And Yum Maker has contributed $5 as well. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the channel. I appreciate your kindness and your generosity. And all right, maybe a little Gatorade or something, a little energy juice. It's going to be totally worth it. You'll see. Totally worth it. The design does look over 10 years old. No, where else are you going to get content like this? Come on. Where else on YouTube can you watch a middle-aged man struggle to put on a Chinese cooler written in poor English on a chip that it's not designed to run on? I ask you. Where else can you see this kind of rich content? All right, let me think. Is it time for some brute force, maybe? Aha! See? You see how sometimes just stopping for a minute? See how easy that was? Yeah, super easy. Let me hook up the fans. Fan number 1. Fan number 2. This is totally super easy, man. I don't know what the big deal was. I'm such a drama queen. I'll make a big deal out of everything. It's no big deal. Okay, so let's bring this back up on its feet. Now look. Totally worth it. Worth it. Put your top on. We've got company. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Yes. 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 Um, we're going to fire this bad boy up and see what happens next because the sky's the limit. Well, that was a new experience. Let's get it hooked up to your computer at home, to your monitor at home, I mean, and run Prime 95. See, I would never do this to a customer's build. I want you to understand. This is the difference that I speak about when I say building for work versus building for fun. This is clearly my twisted sense of fun. But when it comes to getting paid and having happy customers, I stick to what I know is true and reliable and predictable. I don't know what's going to happen. So I guess what we'll do now is flip over to camera input number 2, which is the back of your screen at home, the back of your monitor. And then what I'll do is I'll just stick myself up in a corner because that's where I belong. Right up there, it'll be good. And let's see what happens if we hit the switch. And you know what? Let me make this a little bigger so you can see the fan turning. So just temporarily, let's go full screen just so you can see this part. Ooh. Well, that's pretty cool. Huh? Oh, wild. Why did it reboot? I don't know. It's quiet. I mean, it's whisper quiet. So I'm happy with that. Let's switch over to camera input 2 now, or actually it's on. I just have to not cover it up. And let me make sure I've got the cable. Oh, I got a, hold on, I got a cable on the way. I have to wire tie that. Keep it out of the way. All right, let's see what's gonna happen. Now the question can be, you know, which way is the air moving? Why does that keep happening? Stay down. Wow, the whole system just froze. Let's turn it back off. We'll turn it back on one more time. Now, if you want to check the direction of the airflow, you can just grab a piece of paper, or here, I've got a paper towel right here. We can grab this paper towel, and if we set it in front of the fan, we can see if it's pulling the paper towel in or blowing it away. Boy, it's really hard to tell. I don't know. I also don't know why I'm not booting. Like, regardless of the cooler, the system should still boot. But I see the rear fan is off for some reason. The front fan is running, but the rear fan is off. That's really strange. Ooh, that's new. Let me shut it off again. I wonder if this could be causing a short. So because it's so tight to those VRMs. Let's take another look here and see. Make sure I've got everything plugged in correctly. That looks good. How about my other one? How's my other one look? That one looks good. That one looks good. Okay. That's installed correctly. That's installed correctly. Did I loosen any cables or short anything out? Let's just make sure everything is still tight to the board. Let's get this wire tie off here. Let's just move it down there. Let's do that. Looks good. Yeah, you know what? Everything looks good. I don't know why it's not booting. Unless if I somehow unseated the RAM. Is my power cable plugged all the way in? Let's turn it back on. Okay, rear fan's going. Front fan's going. CPU fan is going. Whew, that's new. Wonder why it's doing that. So what's happening is the rear case fan stops spinning. It's a very unusual symptom. Let's see if I can go full screen and I'll show you. This, you can see the CPU fan is running, but this rear case fan has stopped. Also, the front fan is running. So it's very odd. I'm wondering if I might be drawing too much power from the CPU fan connector, which is entirely possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the switch off on this permanently here, and we'll wait for the, even though the switch is cut, you'll see there's still power. So when that's out, what I'm going to do now, I want to just double check. Now look at that. When I unplugged the fan, remember the power switch is off. Those lights came back on. Let me double check this one more time. One last time. Let's see if that brings in any more joy. You have to understand my attitude on this. If this were a customer's build, I would be sweating bullets right now. I'd be a little anxiety, a little panic. But because this is a build just for fun, this is my sort of pre-birthday build just for the heck of building. I get to do whatever I want to it. I get to play with it and tweak it and adjust it and experiment with it. And, you know, when it's all up and running and everything's great, however I end up configuring it. What is that? Boot failure detected. See, I've never seen this screen before. So, so I get to have all these new experiences without the anxiety of, uh-oh. Let's just load optimized defaults, then boot. That's fine. Let's see what it does. Hey, we got the Windows this time. That's a good start. I may have had the CPU fan plug off by 1 pin. That may have been causing it, or I don't know, maybe it's gonna freeze up on me again. I don't know. So I'm gonna take my flash drive and plug it in here. And we're gonna grab Prime 95 and HW monitor. So first of all, let's start HW monitor and see where we're at with our temps right now. Which shouldn't be bad because the CPU is basically just idling. So give that a minute. Here we go. And we scroll down and we can see temps are a little warm. I mean, it's already had a max of 50, which is about 5 to 6 degrees a little too high. But have some faith. And if nothing else, have some popcorn. We'll bring up Prime 95. We're going to start Prime 95 now. And then we'll keep an eye on how these temperatures are going to climb. Ooh, oh, that didn't take long. So we're at 72. Let me get my stopwatch out here. Let's get the timer going. We'll just keep an eye on it. You know, this cooler may be better suited to an i3. I got a feeling this test is not going to run for 15 minutes before I shut it off. Oh, we went to 86 already. So in under a minute, I've already hit my ceiling. I see 88 on the last core. Let's see what it takes to get to 95. Still sitting steady right now at 88 is our max. Okay, well, I have the fan installed correctly. I can feel air being pushed out of the left side. I can definitely feel the air being pushed out, and there's no air being pushed out on the right side. So the fan is oriented correctly. We're at 92 right now at about 2 minutes of the test. So I don't think, I think this cooler will be okay on a different build, like on an i3 or an i5 build. I think, you know, obviously a 9900ks is a hotter chip. I wanted a cooler that was different. I wanted a different experience, and I wanted to get some measure of what the cooler can be used for. In other words, just reading on Amazon and seeing the lack of reviews, lack of any videos on YouTube about it, it's not really providing any information for me. So I thought, somebody should do that. So I think if you wanted something a little nicer on your i3 or your i5, I believe this will probably be make you happy. Something a little nicer than the stock Intel or AMD cooler. To what end, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it'll handle the high end Ryzen 5 or not. I suspect it'll be okay. It's actually, I mean, we're 3 minutes into the test. It's only at 92. So, but it's not good. Look, the system, if I really wanted to use this cooler, I could. But over time, I will reduce the life of the CPU underneath if I constantly run it hot. Running it hot once in a while is no big deal. But if I constantly run it hot, the other thing is, looking at it installed. It's one thing to look at photos of the cooler online. It's another thing to see it in your build. And it's not exactly what I was hoping for. It does look like it was pictured. Yeah, we're at 95 now at 4 minutes into the test. I'm going to go ahead and stop the test because we know where this is going. We don't need to. I think it's pretty easy to know exactly where we're going with this or where this is heading. This should quickly cool down. And obviously it's a cooler, right? It is cooling. It's just not cooling enough for this chip. But I know more about this cooler now than I knew an hour ago. And I couldn't find any decent amount of information anywhere online about it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? What do you guys think? Chevy Arthur says it's junk and not for me. Ian McLeod says the CPU is singing we're feeling hot, hot, hot. Who sings that? Is that Elvis Costello or who was that? Not Elvis Costello. Do an all-in-one, Carey. The problem with an all-in-one is you have to replace them every 4, 5, 6 years because the pumps wear out. I just think all-in-one coolers are for hobbyists or for people that are overclocking, which, like I said earlier, corporations in general don't do that. Maybe some specific types of workers, some AutoCAD workers or things like that. But even that's probably going to be a small company, not a major corporation. So for me personally, I just don't like liquid cooling. I like to have one cooling solution in and forget about it. Be done with it, move on to the next thing. I don't want to have to revisit it and repair it and replace the cooler because you got to replace the whole cooler. You got to replace the radiator, you got to redo all the wiring. And the bottom line is it's not going to run any better because of a liquid cooler. Whether it's an air cooler or a liquid cooler, as long as the CPU is running within the specifications, the temperature range that it was engineered for, it won't run faster. So all-in-one cooling is strictly for overclocking. If you're not overclocking it, you're wasting your money. There's no benefit to it at all. Oh, well, my CPU runs 6 degrees cooler. So what? If it was running at 50 and now it's running at 44, it's still running exactly the same. It's not performing any differently. It's not going to be any more reliable. But in 4 to 6 years' time, you will have to replace the radiator, the pump, the lines. All of it has to be replaced. So for me personally, even on a fun build, that's not fun. Will it do better with all the side panels in place? No, absolutely not. No. It's a great cooler. I just applied thermal paste poorly. That's what it is. Okay. So I suppose then the question is, what cooler should I do next? Like, I'm going to wrap it up for today, but tomorrow we can pick this up I kind of like this V8 GTS cooler here. I really like the way it looks, but I'm really concerned if it's going to cover the RAM. So let's shut this down because we're done with this now. We don't need to see any. And then we'll go back to full screen on camera 1. So the V8 GTS cooler, I'm a bit concerned, is going to cover the RAM. So let's open this up real quick and take a look. Now, I already know that the Be Quiet cooler fit in there really well. It did a really good job cooling. And just putting the black edition in that solves this problem. It's easy to install, but I'm not learning anything new. You know, that much I know. And if push comes to shove, the Be Quiet Pure Rock 2 is a great solution, both aesthetically, noise-wise, price-wise. It's decently priced, and it fits well. Doesn't cover our RAM. And that's great. If this was a customer build, I'll tell you right now, the Pure Rock 2 is what I would put in there for a customer. But I'm not a customer, and I want something special. Or at least I want to make some attempts to try, because sometimes in those attempts you end up finding something you like better. Other times you find stuff you absolutely, oh, that's a big cooler. Oh boy. Yeah. I suspect that is going to cover our RAM and cover it big time. So this is the Cooler Master, the V8. And see, they're using a fan splitter on there as well. Notice that one is a different color, so that should help you decide the orientation. Oh no, I take that back. The different color is on the plug. It's on the connector. It's not on the fan. So I guess you just put it with the logo facing up. And then it's got another connector which looks like perhaps for some lighting. Wow, that thing is crazy. Well, I have an upcoming build that I think this will be great in, but not this one. This is my elegant, beautiful, fast piece of art. And this cooler was a bit pricey, I will say. And I guess they had this cardboard in here somehow, some way. How do they do that? It was like keeping the fan from, I guess, rubbing against the radiator or something. I don't know. I don't remember how I took it out. But that's interesting how they've got a radiator here, a radiator in the middle, and then another radiator on the other side. So there's 3 radiators on this thing. Yeah, I've got a build I think this will be great in, but it's not this build. So we'll keep this one on the short list for what's coming up soon. What else do I have? What else? Of course, we could put I could put a Hyper 212 Evo in there with RGB if we wanted to add a little more color. Although I don't think it cools as well as that Be Quiet does. We've also got this other cooler here from ID Cooling. The SE234 ARGB. It's 120 millimeter. I don't know what the TDP is on it. Okay. So we've got the RGB cable and, oh, ARGB, that's cool. Because I think this motherboard does have ARGB on it. And then the cooler itself kind of looks very similar in size and shape to the Be Quiet cooler. Be Quiet might be a little bigger. Maybe not. Ooh, we might be striking gold with this one here. Does anybody know anything about this cooler? The SE234 ARGB. This looks very promising. I like that the bracket has already been installed on the bottom, unlike the Hyper 212 Evo. Let me look through the comments and see what you guys have to say. Oops. A couple of contributions have come in. Let's see, we've got Mike Ladd contributed $10 and said, my Go Faster stickers didn't work until I downloaded faster RAM. Eddie Sawyers with a $3 contribution says, hello, hey Eddie. George Z has contributed $5 and then $2. Hey George, thank you for that. Joseph Hawkins contributed 5 New Zealand dollars, says, Carey, thank you for the birthday wishes. Have a Coke. Right on, Joseph. Happy birthday to you, my friend. Glenn's Music contributed 10 Australian dollars and said the installation of the fan is retrograde to the written instructions, providing an inadequate method of reconfiguring the inversion of the rotation installed with the third hand, typically at night. Did you write those documentation directions for these coolers? Is that you? Joe Narcisos contributed 10 Canadian dollars. Thank you guys again for supporting the channel. I think for now, I'm going to wrap up because it's already 6:30 and I'm going to start losing light here in about a half an hour, and I don't want to start something in theory, that I can't finish. In theory, this should go out pretty quickly. Taking this off should not be a problem, and I think I will set it aside for beautifying an older system. If you have an older computer and you feel like you're being left out of the cool factor of RGB and these extreme coolers because your system's a few years old and perhaps it wasn't top of the line when you bought it, but you feel like, look, you got a 1972 Pinto and you want to put some racing stripes on it, I get it. This may be a good choice for you. I mean, honestly, it wasn't that difficult to install, and it's not that expensive. It's very unique. People, I mean, have you ever seen that cooler before? I never saw it before. I mean, if you want something other people don't have, it'd be unlikely that you would run into somebody who knows what that is. So for that factor, it has some value. I don't think it's going to cool any better than your stock CPU, though, your stock CPU fan. I think it will be pretty well identical to stock cooling. I feel like it was operating Like if I had a standard Core i7 fan, I felt like it was operating about as well as that, but it was a lot quieter. But you are going to have a little more cable management. You've got two cables. You cannot control the lighting. You can't switch it off. You can't change it. It is what it is. So for the right person, I guess it's there. Clearly not something I can recommend because it has so many qualifications that have to be met for you to be happy with it, right? You got to know you can't change the color, you can't turn the light off, you got to deal with the extra cable. It's got to be on an older system or a slower system, and it's really just there for bling. That's all it's for. It's not really there for cooling. What you've got now, whatever you're using now, it's probably going to cool just as well as whatever stock thing you've got. If maybe your stock fan starts to die, and you want to just make it a little prettier than it was before, and it's a good excuse to replace it since it's dying anyway, that may be a good option for you. The installation wasn't that difficult. And know that if you upgrade your computer later, you're not going to be taking that with you. Keep it with an older computer because it won't keep up with the heat requirements of high-end CPU. I want to remind you that we have the mouse pads available again. Again, I'm going to reiterate, we're going to do these for a limited time. I think we've got 100 of them, and when they're gone, that'll be it for 2020. We won't have any more of these. If we do any more, it'll be in 2021. So this is the last batch. Also, the case badges are available. These will always be available as far as I'm concerned. This one's in a little plastic bag, but it's metal. It's a case badge. If you want, you could even glue a magnet on the back of it. I'm not selling it with a magnet, but you could glue a magnet and then stick it wherever you want, move it around. Beyond that, working on some ideas, like I said, for Lazy Susan and for a screwdriver, which I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to find a manufacturer and what our minimum quantities have to be. And it's got to be good enough that I would use it, obviously. I don't want to sell you guys crap. I don't even want to sell you guys anything, to be honest. I don't want to be selling stuff. I want to be teaching. But that being said, those are available. It's at shop.carey-holzman.com or careyholzmanshop.com or just careyholzman.com. Any of that should take you to the site. This cooler and the link for it, or why you would want it, I don't know, but it's in the video notes below the video. I am still going to finish this rig up. Once I find a good cooling solution for it, I'm going to change the power supply and then put in the 2080 Ti. If I was in a hurry and I just wanted to get it done, I want to reiterate, I would put the Pure Rock 2 in this build. It fits perfect. It'll look good in black. The only reason I took the old one out is it was silver. Same reason I'm taking this power supply out is because it's silver. I want everything to be black, and then I'll do the cable management and button it up, and we should have ourselves a really nice rocket ship of a computer that will easily last 10 years, no problem. And by avoiding an all-in-one pump and things like that, we don't have any maintenance to worry about. Worst thing that can happen is you have a fan start to go. Changing a fan is no big deal. It's not expensive. It's not an all-day project, and that'll be the worst thing. And that's provided, but we don't have any component failures, which, there's nothing you can do about that. If a motherboard goes, or if your solid state drive goes, or a RAM module goes, you just deal with your warranty situation there, or use it as an excuse to upgrade to something else, depending on how long, if it happens 6 years from now versus 6 months from now. Let me give a shout out and a thank you to everybody who's contributed during today's live stream. So, working my way backwards from the most recent, Joe Narciso, Glenn's Music, Joseph Hawkins, George Z, Eddie Sawyers, and Mike Ladd, Hume Maker, Michael Harico, Samuel Ramos, Thomas Tidwell, Rad Dragon, The Drunken Troll, Chester Hughes, Jim Desposito, RM, Patrick Manny, Robert Jones, Madi Yoel, M. Watson 1972, David Smith, John Young, Brian Osborne, Michael Dane, Chris Keegan, Tony Wallow and Patrick Manny, OG Gaming, Stealth Mode, Mike Yazzie, Hugh Wong, Mike Ostruska. Did I say Mike? I'm sorry. Mark Ostruska, Phil the Gamer, David Anderson, Brian Osborne, Frankie B, OG Gaming and Michael Dane once more. Evidence Savant 12 had contributed $50 earlier. Very generous, thank you. Rick Lakes, Tech Deals contributed 20 bucks. Always good to see Tech in Rogue. Be sure and check out the Tech Deals YouTube page. See if you like their content. I think if you like my content, you like the unscripted sort of real life, I think you'll like what they do. Jeremy contributed as well, and Madi Yoel again, Sinister0021, another from Madi and Sinister again, Bearpaw, Kevin Arsenault, Colin G, and Mike Dale, Rakshit Patel and Darren Gilholm, OG Gaming again, and our first contribution before the stream even started was from Abdul Azim Patel with a $50 contribution. Thanks you guys for supporting the channel and allowing me to waste some money all for education. Believe me, this wasn't a waste of money. I would have liked if this cooler would have been strong enough. Wow, look how much that wiggles. I would have enjoyed if this cooler was adequate, keeping it in there for the uniqueness, nothing more than the uniqueness of it. I've just not seen a cooler like that. However, isn't that interesting? This whole thing just moves, but only in one direction. Interesting. Well, that may be why I was struggling to get it on there. Maybe that's the side that I don't even know. I don't even know. But regardless, it won't be used in this build. If I put together like one of those Core i5s for Kids at Hope, it might be fun to throw that in there just for the heck of it, if it's going to cool that adequately, which I think it will. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. It might just be fun to adapt it to USB and use it as a little cooler to have on the desk to blow cool air over my face while I'm working. I'll find something to do with it. In the meantime, thanks you guys for joining me today on this unusual Monday, July the 6th, 2020. Again, I hope you all had a good, happy, safe 4th of July weekend. It's back to work and lots and lots of projects going on this week. So you can expect, apart from some time later this week, I've got to go back over to the other studio location and continue working over there. Maybe 2 days this week. But I will try to have some quick tips or other videos to provide you with in the meantime. And if you're really jonesing, again, for live unscripted content, Tech Deals, be sure and check them out. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you all again very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.